Jochen Hahn and Antonio Albacete. The two of them go flying through the right-hand side, then the left-hand side. Jochen Hahn around the outside, and Lucas Hahn, no father and son, come together on the exit of turn 1.
And the best thing about this is the fact that it's still a 15-minute sprint race. They've not extended the time of the race. It's still just like, it's going to be, 7 laps as far as I can know.
We get to the real nitty-gritty of motorsport. Crymsun and Smith are side by side for the title in the very final race of the season. As they go back up the hill towards the Schumacher. Nils Kor clips the back at 10. Simon Povey clips the side of Nils Kor. They go over the hill and Povey's around.
Oh my God, that's going to definitely be the thumbnail when it hit me in the right direction.
Thank you so much.
23 cars.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Which way does he go? He goes to the right. Silas goes to the left. Across the line. It's going to be. Which one's it going to be? Tim's going to get it to the line. He's not going to get it. Oh no, Pete Newman's around.
Pretty tight. Jake Blackwell round the outside. He's going to keep it there, and now he's going to be on the inside.
Okay, Simon Price sees a gap in the middle, decides that no, that would be mental. Big accident, Simon. Cam Dutz wins. Silas Craig Frolic wins. Jake Blackwell wins. Cranstone to take the win. On his Jesper Eriksson, two-time champion of the CDM Formula 1 World Championship is Cam Dutz. And what a fantastic race. Amazing. Hello everybody, welcome to Chaz Draycott Media and welcome to actually round number 4 of the CDM Formula 1 World Championship here from Mugello. That teaches me for trying to go too in-depth with the broadcast and having too many moving parts, doesn't it? Flipping heck. We're here at this beautiful circuit in Mugello, although the weather at the moment not as favoured as the drivers would have liked. It's quite muggy out there, it will not rain. But the visibility is quite low here in the Italian mountains. Still, we're in for an absolute belter of a night of racing. The championship is sponsored by the wonderful Bottle of Scotch Racing and Derbyshire Holiday Homes. And you've got the wonderful Paul Jeffrey in the commentary box alongside myself, Chaz Draycott. Paul, you've been with us for a couple of the first few rounds of the season so far, and you've witnessed a bit of everything, haven't you? It's been a hell of a start to the season.
Good evening, Mr. Draycott. Hello, everybody on Chaz Draycott Media. Yes, sir, it has been a hell of a season, and my goodness gracious me, can I not find a better place to be on a Wednesday night? We've had some real crackers up to this point. The Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, last time out, wall-to-wall action. But Chaz, you know me, I like me a classic fast-track circuit. Mugello is one of those places. This is going to be an absolute rip snorter. I cannot wait for this one.
Rip snorter might actually be my new favourite phrase. That's belting. But yes, we have a very close championship on our hands at the moment as well. Sam Fitzpatrick for Benetton took his first race victory in the standings last time round, and he is now on 27 points in second place. Only 3 behind Jesper Eriksson, with a tie for third place between Aaron Smith in the Ferrari and Lee Aberdeen in the McLaren. We have 5 different manufacturers in the top 5, with Jake Cranstone in 5th place. He's only 1 point then ahead of Taylor Adams. Ian Stitchbury, who missed the last round, is back with us tonight in the Benetton. Matt Hoyland will not be here this evening, and unfortunately we will not see Jack Werrell in the championship for the foreseeable, I'm afraid. He's had hardware and connection issues plaguing him quite a lot, so Jack has had to pull out of the series. Alex Fretwell will take over for him and drive permanently for the Stewart team for the rest of the season. He did race once for Benetton at the wonderful Mosport, but from this point he will now drive for Stewart. And we have Christian Rose joining us once again tonight. He raced for Stewart at Okayama, but will now race for Williams this time round. So it's a little bit complicated for some of these reserve drivers, Paul, but it is what it is. And these guys are all in it for a good time, and they certainly enjoy themselves, don't they?
They are indeed, and I'd like to thank all of the drivers that have swapped seats over the course of the season. Because I'm old school, I like things printed off, and how many times do I have to print off a spotter guide in massively colour-intensive ink and then scribble through it all when it changes? But yeah, it's great to see some new faces, some new names on the field, and we're looking at Danny Weir as he comes out of pit lane in the Prost Peugeot. And you were not joking, Chaz. Visibility looks somewhat limited here in the Tuscany region.
Yeah, it is very, very limited. As you can see here, it is a little bit earlier in the day. We had a close call with daylight at the Canadian round last time out. So usually, just to explain this, the standard date in iRacing is the 15th of May of whatever year it currently is. That's the default date. Something in the previous update meant that all of the rounds of the championship were on the real dates. So it went from being the sort of middle of the year where it's a lot lighter for a lot longer to suddenly being March, and at 3 o'clock the sun goes down. So we had a bit of a nightmare with that last time. But these are all set up now so that the races start just after 2 p.m. and it is in May time, as you can see. So it's going to be a lot tastier with a lot more daylight on our hands. We have Danny Weir on the circuit now, as mentioned, and then the wonderful Minardi Ford of Simon Price, car number 23. Hello to all of you in the chat. Great to have you all here with us. Lovely to see the great participation from everybody involved. But this circuit, Paul, we've both commentated here a couple of times before. I haven't commentated here in real life. I hope to go at some point to Mugello, but it's quite a legendary track for bike racing more than anything else. But I think Formula One did quite well when they came here, didn't they?
Oh yes, it covered itself in glory, it has to be said. It's one of those tracks, it's an old school circuit, its layout, it's frankly little used if you compare it to somewhere like a Silverstone or a Barcelona of this world. So it's great to see it in the calendar in the Formula One World Championship. It's great to see an opportunity for these little 150 miles an hour maximum kind of Pro Mazda cars to get out there and show us what slipstreaming is all about. That's going to be the story today, Chaz, isn't it?
Yeah.
Slipstreaming, choosing when's the right time to go. And, well, it's Formula One, so get your elbows out and smack a few people in the side of the crash helmet. See if that works to your advantage as, oh dear, Danny Weir doesn't work to his advantage and does a little lazy half pirouette.
Yeah, and that's going to invalidate his lap time, you see. So now that lap isn't going to count and he's going to start near the back of the grid. But the drivers have been instructed to continue on and still complete the lap, because at the end of the day, the people that are just coming out of the pit lane now, the likes of Rob Lundgren and Connor Hatfield, they wait for a set number of cars to go past them before they then start their outlaps. So Danny will, bless him, continue on, and at the end of the day, use this as an extra lap of practice. But in the briefing, I did tell them the curbs are seemingly very flat here at Mugello, but in little cars like this that weigh about as much as my little finger, it's really going to upset them, isn't it, Paul? Because they're quite wide, nasty curbs.
Yeah, exactly. It's very easy to sort of destabilise a tightly sprung, very stiff Formula car like these vehicles are. And as you say, you need to use those curbs on certain occasions. Curb is vital for lap time. But the balance between upsetting the car, as you mentioned, and spitting it off into the scenery and being greedy with the track limits is a fine balance to make. Let's have a look on board for the first time with the beautiful Minardi Ford. This is Simon Price that we're riding on board with, and so far, Chaz, at this part of the track, it all looks fair in love and war. It's when it gets spicy further into the lap you need to worry, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. I love this last corner, though. There's so many different lines that you can take through it that it really sets up an opportunistic move down the start-finish straight. Aidan Millward in the chat saying big murky, and it absolutely is. There's a bit of sunshine glowing through, but there's a lot of humidity in the air for this one. And look, Danny Weir, being the good sport that he is, crosses the line and still completes his lap. Now that sends the signal to the next drivers to continue on. Rob Lundgren is going to be the next driver to cross the line, and he's going to start a lap. Then it's going to be Connor Hatfield just behind him. The drivers ready at the end of the pit lane are John Tusting and Alex Fretwell will be next. This is the view from John. So he's had, 2 cars go past so far. There's the third. And he will now wait until Connor Hatfield goes past. He's just about to cross the line right now. There he is. And then John will crack on. They leave a gap of about 10 seconds. They have what's known as a relative box on iRacing. So out of all the data that you get to see, in the bottom corner it tells you your approximate gap to the cars around you, and they try and leave between 5 and 10 seconds to the cars around, just to make sure nobody benefits from any slipstream, nobody sort of has any, additional benefit from being around other cars. And I must say, Paul, I mean, we've had 2 seasons already where it's been well choreographed, but it's lovely to see that these guys make this work so well, isn't it?
Well, I think it sounds like a good time, people of the internet, to take a moment to appreciate that Chaz Draycott somehow, by some kind of weird mystical magic, has managed to tell a driver something, and the driver has listened to him. Which, trust me, that's a little bit like juggling water, or it's not the easiest task. I've been there, I've done it, I'll never do it again. So bravo, brother. That's right. I don't know what you've done. I don't know if there's a monetary fine involved, if people not listening, but whatever you've done, I'll have a piece of that one, because that would be well useful. Bravo.
Yeah, get the FIA to fine them 10 grand if they don't go out on time. Yeah, but it's it's lovely, and I must admit it's not all down to me. Martin Kenyon and Matt Hoyland have been helping choreograph things as well, so they sit in the session and they sit in Discord and talk to the drivers and let them know Rob's on the throttle a little bit early there, runs wide. That might still count though as he heads to the line, and the Tyrrell hoping to displace Simon Price with a 1:46.5 at the top. I think he might have just done it as well. No, just a 1/10 of a second off. What about Connor Hatfield, Simon Price's teammate? Can he go a little bit quicker? I think he's gone a good few tenths quicker there. He has, nearly a second faster for Connor Hatfield. Great lap by the Minardi driver. Separates himself from his teammates. And now it's the gorgeous Black Arrows with John Tusting at the wheel, the Mikasalo helmet, and a driver that I'm interested to see how he gets on tonight, Paul. He made his debut last time out at Mosport for Benetton, but Alex Fretwell now in a full-time drive at Stewart. Should be interesting to see what he can convert that into.
Yes, Alex was massively impressive last time around. Very much a late call up into the series. Drove well within the top 10 for the duration of the race. Showed great turns of pace. Was cautious when he needed to be aggressive elsewhere. So I do think that Fretwell's got a great opportunity to start to build on that momentum, build on that confidence. He's in that Stewart Ford, as you say, for the remainder of the season now. So it becomes a little bit more important to get the big results as he's looking to build up his, not a championship charge, he's too far into the season now, but certainly his bid to rank as high as possible in the point standings. By the way, good for Sector 4, Tustin. Green, personal fastest, Sector 1. Not quite trending towards the pole just yet, but we've already seen from Connor Hatfield that final sector is time on the table.
Yeah, definitely. And the thing is as well with Connor is he's actually on his in lap now and he's going the fastest he's gone because it takes a few laps to get the temperature into these tyres. That's the challenge. They have to really push it on that out lap, get at least a bit of temperature in so it's nearly in its best operating window. But the third lap, if they got a third lap in qualifying, would be the fastest one they did. But that would complicate things a little bit too much, I think. Still, we've got John Tusting and Alex Fretwell on their fast laps. The next two drivers will be Philip Miles and then Ben Chalcraft in the Sauber Petronas. But right now, John powering his way around the final corner. Nice tight line down the inside. Uses all of the road on the right. Let's see. He's actually gone all the way over to the left there, which I find an interesting tactic by John Tusting. Crosses the line. Is it quick enough for provisional pole position? It did not count. Wow. I wonder where he did that, because I didn't see a point of the lap where he invalidated that one. What about Alex Fretwell? He goes bottom at the moment in the Stewart, behind Rob Lundgren, so he's lost a bit of time somewhere. Some of these guys here, Paul, not optimising the early session lap times here. We've seen it before. I mean, Martin Kenyon was a standout example at Mosport, wasn't he, where he qualified, I think, 5th on the grid, and he had an absolute belter for a long time. He was right up there, didn't he?
Yeah, exactly. That's the benefit, I suppose, the advantage as broadcasters and as the audience at home to this kind of format. You've got very little opportunity to lay the time down at the end of the session. Those 2 laps, vital. At the level of competition that we've seen in Boremula 1, the field is so closely spread. You can't afford to go in half measures. You can't really be overly conservative in qualifying. But as we've seen from several drivers, you get a bit too gung-ho, you lose those track limits, and that's even worse than leaving time on the table. So quite a lot of pressure for a lot of these drivers. Philip Miles, that we're looking at now in the Pros Peugeot, comes through the final sector of corners. We're not quite at the end just yet. It's all massively high speed here at Mugello towards the end of the lap. And so far for Philip, it's looking relatively comfortable.
That's one of the worst corners on the circuit for these cars there, that chicane near the end of the lap, because it really doesn't enjoy the weight transfer, and there's a big old bumpy curb on the right hand side on the exit. This is also not the car's forte, long sweeping corners like that. It's a real challenge to drive, actually, as he cuts a lot of that curb there on the left and then on the right as well. They clearly know they can get away with that. 2 purple sectors on the board so far, 1 in the middle sector for Philip Miles, 1 in the first sector for Ben Chalcraft, so both of these guys could be just about to put themselves on the front row. Philip using all the road again over to the right. I was intrigued by that tactic by John Tusting to go all the way over to the left. He clearly knew that the lap didn't count. Let's see what Philip does. That seemed quite quick. And it is, but 62 thousandths of a second is all the difference, Paul. It's tiny margins.
Yeah, it really is. Let's take a look at this one then. This is the first time that we've seen the beautiful Sauber Petronas coming across the line. Will there be... I think it's an outlap, actually, saying that one.
No, he's done it.
No, it's not. It is fastest. Very nice from Ben Chalcraft. So that's a lovely lap time. 1.5 tenths to the good from Philip Miles behind. Advantage Sauber, but... we've still seen a few of the drivers, Chaz, that were expecting to be at the sharp end of the grid, yet to set their time, not least of which is the man that we're looking at on screen now.
Yeah, Kevin Zemstra, very unlucky with an incident at the final sector at Mosport. He was really disheartened by it, bless him. We had a good chat in the week, and he was, he felt like the approach from the drivers was different, that, he wanted to play the big game, the bigger picture. He's run a little bit wide there, unfortunately. But yeah, he was very disheartened by it and almost decided to hang up the gloves on this series, because he's had nothing but bad luck in the 3 seasons that he's done so far. And as you can see, starting the qualifying session a lot earlier than you would have expected for a Ferrari driver. He is further down in the championship order just due to multiple incidents that he's had in the opening few rounds. But he's hoping to turn that around here on home turf as well for Ferrari, this being the Italian Bour Prix at Mugello. He's got on circuit with him Martin Kenyon. Martin currently running at the moment in the Sauber Petronas. Just wondering to see who else is going out on track, actually. Jack Reeve is on his outlap, and I think it's Stuart Clark that's next up. Yeah, Stuart just getting rolling now, I believe. But Kevin Zemstra, 2 purple sectors. It's sort of what we expected, really, Paul. I mean, Kevin is absolutely rapid in open wheelers. He's just got to nail this final corner now and get the run.
Yeah, this one's a big one for Zemstra, as you say. Trying to turn the tide a little bit. Oh, the misfortune that's gone the way of the Ferrari driver. We know Kevin's quick. It's just a case of hanging in there and putting it together. And I think this will be the best retort possible to the misfortune that's gone his way. I think we're going to get a new provisional fastest time. Yes, we do. Kevin Zemstra then goes quickest of all, a 1 minute 44.362. And look at that gap, Chaz.
Yes.
Nearly a second.
Absolutely belting stuff by Kevin Zemstra. It's sort of what we expected. He's put a really clean lap together there. Martin Kenyon does personal bests in all 3 sectors, and he goes second fastest. Just half a second off Kevin Zemstra. Nearly half a second faster than Ben Chalcraft. So a good solid lap that by Martin Kenyon. Now Jack Reeve is on the circuit. He's the next car out, but there seems to be a car missing, unfortunately. Now, we have Jack Reeve next up in the standings. Who was due to go after Jack? Stuart Clark. I'm calling him out live on air. Stuart should have already been out on the circuit. He's waiting for another car, I believe, but he should go now. He should already be behind Jack and on a fast lap. So what I was saying before about choreographing this...
That'll teach us, won't it? That'll teach us for getting cocky, seeing how well things are going. Oh, there we go. Right on cue. All he's doing, Chaz, is just giving you a talking point. He's just trying to highlight that best laid plans don't always pan out, but it works out in the end. And Jack's on his merry way.
I do love this, Stuart, actually. It's a really, really good-looking car. The 98 car was a fantastic bit of kit. Really tasty-looking race car. And the difference between this and Alex Fretwell's as well is what I didn't notice, actually, until the start of this season, is the wing supports on the nose, on the other one are blue, and the head surround as well. Similar to what the Saubers do. You can see Martin Kenyon's got that yellow sort of head surround on the car. On the Stewarts, the second car, which I believe was driven by Jos Verstappen that year to begin with, was actually blue.
Was it not Jan Magnussen?
It was Jan Magnussen and then Jos Verstappen, wasn't it? Because I think
Jan got
didn't Jan?
and not being...
Well, he got dropped, but he got dropped the race after he scored his first points.
Yeah, he got dropped because he came into Formula 1 at the time as an absolute legend in waiting. I think he won like basically every race he ever contested or something absolutely obscene.
Yeah.
Had a banner year in the Formula 3, I think he was. Came to Formula 1. And the polar opposite of Kevin.
Yeah.
Stellar junior career, garbage in Formula 1. Kevin, garbage junior career, moderately decent in Formula 1.
Yeah.
So, Jan never quite living up to the pre-hype. I think he was supposed to be, was it? Jackie Stewart, did he say it's the fastest driver he'd seen since Ayrton Senna?
Yeah.
And that did not go well for Jan Magnussen.
Jackie, I was going to say Jackie was like Porky's, but it was more like Haggis. Jack Reeve goes 5th fastest behind Philip Miles. Then he's got the 2 Saubers ahead of that. Stuart Clark about to cross the line now, but he's about to start his fast lap. He's just completed his out lap. We have 2 more drivers on the way out of the pit lane now, and it's 2 big hitters. Yain Stitchbury in the Benetton, and then behind him there, got a lovely glint there off the Benetton rear wing. After that, it's Taylor Adams in the McLaren. iRacing Shadows doing their thing, as you can all see. Yeah, more of that, please.
What's it supposed to be? What is it a shadow of? Is somebody waving an Asda carrier bag at him as he's on pit lane exit?
I think it's just as the sun gradually moves round. It must be at such a tight angle that it was where the wing intersected.
At the speed of a jet plane.
I think it was just doing it was doing one line of pixels at a time, wasn't it? It was like a really low refresh rate. Oh, iRacing, come on. To be fair, I'm name dropping a little bit, but I'm good friends with Drew Adamson, who's the production director of iRacing. Bless him, really, really good guy. Runs a really tight ship when it comes to broadcast as well. He's top dollar. But I remember having a long chat about screenshots and things a while ago with him and Alex Horn, who does a lot of their video content. Another creative genius, and they were both saying, we love how iRacing can look sometimes. It looks very natural. A lot of the colours are a bit sort of washed out, and it's not hugely vibrant in places. It looks realistic compared to some other sims that are a bit more too cinematic in places. But the only thing they absolutely hate is their shadows. And I'm going to point this out to you all now because Paul did it to me when I commentated at Donington Park on iRacing a while ago, and I hate him for it. He pointed out to me that the thing he really doesn't like about iRacing is that there's absolutely unnecessary skid marks absolutely everywhere on the circuit where you look. And this is one of the newer circuits, but look, he's not wrong. There's skid marks everywhere. It's like there's been a drifting competition daily. Stuart,
honestly.
Sorry. No, I don't
talking
care.
about the actual race.
I don't care.
Tyre marks on racetracks.
Yeah, go on.
Because if you watch it, it's good sport. If you're fed up and you want to have a quick look, it's fine in a straight line. But look at the way the skid marks go off on corners. There must have been 1,000 support race accidents. There's no logic applied to them. They've just got skid marks and somebody's thrown them at the monitor and see where they land. It's a lot of fun. And when you're bored, if the race is boring, check out the skid marks, people. It's great fun. I never thought I'd say that in a live commentary. Today's a day of first. Check out the skid marks, people.
I'm sure there'll be a few skid marks during this race as well, actually, because some of these guys really do push the limits. A good friend of mine, I'm going to out him live on air here, a good friend of mine, Dan McCauley, incredible karting talent, used to race against the likes of Lando Norris, George Russell, Jamie Caroline, and beat them. And bless him, he decided to sign up as a reserve for the championship, give it a go, went to do pre-season tests, and he said the car is the biggest pig he's ever driven in his life, and he absolutely hates it, and he doesn't know how these lot do it. So he's certainly one to respect the fact that these guys are dancing on a knife edge with this car so much of the time. We see Yain Stitchbury pushing on. It's good to have Yain back with us. He wasn't with us for Mosport last time out. It's good to see Taylor Adams. He had to have quite the recovery drive, didn't he, Paul, at Mosport after that incident near the start?
Yeah, Taylor was a great deal of value last time around. Really, really entertaining. And I think we saw an aspect of Taylor that I've certainly not seen, being relatively new into this championship and the world of Chaz Draycott Media, it has to be said. But to see the way that Taylor, again, he applied aggression, but at the right moments, and I love that from a driver. It's all fair and well to be the big I am and be going for every move on every occasion and massively entertaining, but it's not the way to go forward and win motor races.
No.
But what I liked last time around from Taylor was when he needed to be, those elbows were out. When he needed to be, he put the car in those exciting positions, but he was intelligent about it as well. I think that's going to stand Taylor in very nice stead indeed for the rest of the season, but he needs to get that qualifying position. That's the thing, as Ryan Stitchbury moves up to 3rd position, still though 8 tenths away from Kevin at the head of the pack.
Yeah, that's again showing how good a job Martin Kenyon's doing. If anything, Stitchbury goes 4th, Taylor Adams goes 2nd, but even then he's still 4 tenths of a second off of our pole sitter. We're going to go quiet for a second while Paul has a moment.
Less I like to see that one. A Damon Hill livery helmet. Come on, sunshine. And look at this one. The car just looks beautiful, man. The car and the helmet combination were made for each other. And Jake, massive credit for bringing the spirit of Damon Hill into this series. And penultimate year for Damon Hill, of course, in 1998, sadly, before hanging up his helmet and gloves the following season. But what a great year it was for both team and driver.
Absolutely was. Right now, we've got Jake Cranstone on our screens. With him on the circuit is Lee Aberdeen in the other McLaren. Lee was the fastest driver in pre-season testing, so no pressure, mate. I quite like that we've got the contrast between the bright white and sort of warm yellowy orange helmet of Taylor Adams in the McLaren, as you'll see just here. You've got this sort of lighter colour, and then Lee Aberdeen's just purely black helmet, almost like he's just bought it for track days, you know, like it's just a carbon design, no fancy bits on it. And I love that you get that contrast between drivers, and it's something that we're quite passionate about. We're both passionate about helmets, me and Paul, but more so that you know, you have to have a design that stands out. And so many drivers now, fair play, they have great designs. The way that helmet designs work now is incredible, but like you have to respect the art form of it. But they're just not as simple and as iconic as they used to be, are they? I mean, the Graham Hill, Damon Hill design, everyone knows it.
I can't remember who it was. I think it was Johnny Herbert, or it could have been Jacques Villeneuve. One of those drivers said, if you can't draw a helmet from memory in 5 seconds with maximum 3 crayons, it's a bad design.
Yeah.
And I completely agree with that one. I mean, we saw Johnny Herbert's helmet in the Sauber a few moments ago. You know who he is straight away.
Yeah.
You try and do that for Kimi Räikkönen or somebody more pertinently relevant. George Russell, let's say, for example.
Ooh.
No chance.
Lee Aberdeen goes fastest then in the McLaren, 68 thousandths of a second ahead of Zemstra. Jake Cranstone can only muster 3rd at the moment, ahead of Taylor Adams in the other McLaren. So we have 3 different manufacturers in the top 3. Martin Kenyon going well in that Sauber Petronas. Aaron Smith is the next driver, having just crossed the start-finish line now. Then it's Sam Fitzpatrick behind him, and then Jesper Eriksson. And that will be all of our drivers qualified. Here is Sam Fitzpatrick, took a race victory last time out at Mosport. He'll be very happy off the back of that to have finally done it, because he was teammates with Cam Dance in Season 2. A consistent front runner, but Cam was just always in the right place at the right time that little bit more. They actually crashed into each other at Spa, which I'd forgotten about until I went back to try and find a reference from an old broadcast. And the two Williams actually hit each other towards the end of the race in a fight with one of the Ferraris, I believe. But, I mean, that was an amazing race at Spa in Season 2. I think the top 6 cars were separated by 4 tenths of a second going on to the final lap, which is just much like it was at Mosport. It's just what we do, isn't it, Paul, here in Boremula 1? It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you've waxed lyrical to Boremula 1 with myself at the various events that we've done over the years, saying how great it is and how close the racing, and seeing is believing, peeps. If you're watching this one on the Chaz Draycott Media YouTube channel, it's the first time you've watched it, get ready. Tolerate qualifying. Nobody likes qualifying, myself included. Tolerate it. It'll be out of the way soon enough, and then we'll go racing, and trust me, it'll be worth your wait. These are really, really competent drivers, massively competitive. Boy, oh boy, do they know how to put on a virtual motor race.
They absolutely do. The humidity is dropping quite a bit. It's dropped about 5%. And now the temperature on the circuit is rising as well. You can see it's a lot brighter all of a sudden here at Mugello. Aaron Smith has just crossed the line. He goes 4th fastest behind Jake Cranstone, just ahead of Taylor Adams, just behind his teammate Kevin Zemstra as well. Sam Fitzpatrick comes to the line now in the Benetton. Last time race winner. He's also been a pole sitter in the championship earlier on in the season. What can he do here at Mugello? It's 4th fastest for Sam Fitzpatrick, just ahead of Aaron Smith. And then what a driver to ride on board with here. Jesper Eriksson now on his fast lap. A little bit out of sync with where he is on the circuit. Ooh, that was a little bit wide there, Paul. I'd argue that was outside of track limits, but I think Mugello will say otherwise, because it seems like as long as they're at least on the white, red and green curbs, they're okay.
Yeah, very, very closely. Definitely Jesper Eriksson is taunting track limits, shall we say, at this moment in time. He's not a man that's content to settle for his lot in life, is Eriksson. He seems like this is a big push back. There's a lot of understeer in that car, and he's a bit hesitant on the throttle. He's using lots and lots of steering angle, and I think these tyres are going to be rather tired when we get towards the end of the lap. Just, Chaz, when you need to lean on them the most.
Yeah, absolutely. That final corner, oh so important. You don't want to be scrubbing the fronts when you come out of there, especially with it being downhill as well. The grip goes away from you, especially this right-hander too. You've got to square it off a little bit. Look at the humidity and the mist in the distance there. It's crazy to think how bright it's suddenly gotten. They really are cutting those curbs there. I'm intrigued to see what they're like when they're in a pack, when they come through the sort of later parts of the race, and who tries to take more risk than others. You've got to be careful. Look at him, just micro inputs on the wheel. Nice and smooth on the exit that. This is really good stuff from Jesper Eriksson, but no purple sectors yet. They're all green. Is it going to be Lee Aberdeen on pole position for the first time this season, or is Jesper Eriksson going to snatch it from the jaws of victory once more? It's Lee Aberdeen on pole for the Italian Borg Prix. Kevin Zemstra gets some great, I was going to say redemption, but it's Rezemstran, isn't it? With the front row start for him. Jesper Eriksson next up, then Jake Cranstone, then Sam Fitzpatrick. And guess what again, Paul? 5 different manufacturers in the top 5 once again here in Boremula 1. That'll do.
Absolutely love to see that. 1 second covering our top 10 drivers. The field spread a little bit larger, but the circuit's larger as well, 5.245 kilometres. So you're going to naturally get that one. But in terms of drivers that have set what I would consider to be a representative lap time, a second covering the top 10, 1.2, 1.3 covering the top 13. Game on, boys and girls. Game on.
Yeah, absolutely. Really, really solid stuff. It is very, very close, though. I mean, you know, we've got a few drivers at the back of the order. Stuart Clark, in particular, didn't set a representative time. Christian Rose will be starting from the back of the grid, teammate of Jesper Eriksson, who we have on screen right now. Danny Weir and John Tusting as well. Don't forget Alex Fretwell. He didn't set a valid time. Actually, sorry, he did, but he was off the pace of the other guys, and he's got very little experience in the car, but he showed us just how quick he can be in the very first time we saw him at Mosport. So I think both of those Stewarts coming through from the back end of the grid. Christian Rose, I mean, we remember his drive at Okayama starting from the back of the grid for Stewart, funnily enough, and he ended up getting, I think, a 6th place in the end. It was an amazing drive with the competitiveness of this field. So I'm excited to see whether he can repeat that for Williams now. Obviously, we all know it's the same car, really, but still, you've got the sort of impetus of delivery. You have to uphold honour, don't you, in a championship like this? If you get in a fast car, you know, rather than it, with no disrespect, just being a sim racing team that people may not have heard of or may not have a reference of, when you know it's a Formula 1 team and you know a Ferrari should beat a Minardi, there's a little bit more pressure, I'd think. What do you reckon?
Oh yeah, 1000% agree with that one. You're not representing the brand, but you are, for a moment in time, a little bit of role play that we're having in our world of sim racing, you are representing the brand, and you want to get the best result possible and try and do the best you can. By the way, just a quick one, I've noticed that Christian Rose for the Williams Mechachrome, I don't think he's set a time. I don't think we've seen him on track, Chaz, so hopefully he gets out for the race, but that's going to make that's going to be an interesting unknown down there towards the bottom of the field. Yeah,
so Christian, bless him, was just putting Littleton to bed. Simple as that. He opted out of taking part in qualifying and will just join in from the back of the grid. We've had a few of the reserve drivers do that actually before now, and it's very respectful of the rest of the field and what they do. So it's good to see that. We have 9.5 minutes of warm up. We're just going to give you a view of all the drivers heading back out to the circuit, because the conditions and the racing lines can change quite a lot from qualifying into warm-up and then into the race, because it's still a 20-minute session between some of the drivers going out on circuit and getting back out there as John Tusting finds the escape roads. So Paul and I are just going to have a quick break here on Chaz Draycott Media while you all enjoy warm-up for a few minutes, and we'll be right back with you. Hello again, everybody. Chaz Draycott and Paul Jeffrey here for the 4th round of the 3rd season in the CDM Boremula 1 World Championship. Warm-up just underway at the moment after qualifying. And as we mentioned, Paul, quite the spread in the field during that one, but a few drivers as well that didn't set valid lap times. So this race, I think, is going to be quite pressurising for a lot of them, isn't it, to try and prove a point after a bit of a shaky qualifying.
Yeah, strongly agree on that one. Qualifying is oh so very important in any kind of motor race, and as you rightly say, Chaz, several drivers that I think will feel like they've underperformed in that last session, which is fantastic news for us people watching at home, because of course what you want, what makes a great motor race, if you can't have rain, you have out of position drivers, and we've got several of those, some significantly out of position. So expect a lot of strategy with a healthy dose of way thrown into the mix. And that's just how you want these things. Lining up to this one, pressure is high, halfway mark in championship, or closing on to the halfway mark of the championship. Go time for a lot of these drivers. Reputations will be made or lost, methinks, this afternoon.
Yeah, absolutely. And one driver that really needs to prove a point is Lee Aberdeen, who we ride on board with right now in the McLaren. He was fastest in pre-season testing, as I keep reminding him and everybody else at home, but hasn't quite scored the points he would have expected so far, but he's just secured his first pole position of the season. I mean, to be fair, we know that it's not easy to lead from the front and finish there in Boremula 1 because of the amount of slipstream. So we'll see what Lee can do and whether he can hold his ground, who's going to play the game with strategy. Christian Rose, who for some reason I've still got in a Stewart livery. Right. It mustn't have changed over the Williams livery. Oh, I know what I've done here. And I can fully admit to you all that Chaz is a colossal idiot. So I have a folder dedicated to the Boremula 1 livery pack. There's a Season 3 paint pack available. What I've done is I've updated that, but not actually the one that iRacing feeds from and reads from. So I need to just grab Christian's number and basically just pop his livery back in and make sure that it's got the right number on it. So if you bear with me, Paul can see this as well because he can see my entire screen, so he can literally see me renaming files. It's the most interesting thing that he's ever going to watch. But Christian should be in any moment in a Williams, as opposed to what looks like just a grey testing livery, which I actually quite like on this car.
That's the Honda F1 team test livery.
It is, isn't it?
1999, isn't it? That he's doing the last car that Harvey Postlethwaite designed is now being rocked by Christian Rose, and as if by magic, folks, dun dun dun, the correct livery has been applied. How you managed to do that without panicking and while talking, Chaz, is deeply, deeply impressive to me. Because
thank you.
As soon as it doesn't go right, unlike a swan, I'm like a swan that's flipped upside down and drowning. So I'm serene underwater, and my feet are going ballistic on the top. So yes, well played, sir. Well played.
That's what it's like being a Red Bull driver. 1 minute you're driving for one team and you're halfway around the lap, and then by the end of the lap you're driving for another team. That's what Yuki Tsunoda's going to feel like. Or Liam Lawson, we'll have to see. Alex Fretwell back out on the circuit in car number 19 after taking it over from Jack Werrell. He's had to put a booster seat in, I imagine, compared to how low Jack would have sat in the thing. Jack's about 13 foot tall. I don't know how tall Alex is. Actually, I do know how tall Alex is. I keep lying about this. I've met Alex in person, bless him. He came to Race Retro. I'm going to claim he came just to see me, but he came to Race Retro and met me backstage, actually, at the show. It was lovely to meet Alex, and he brought his missus and his little one as well. And
he asked for an autograph.
He didn't, actually. I asked him for one.
Oh.
Right then, warm-up is over, Paul. It's very murky. Look how gloomy it is. It's crazy. I mean, I asked it to be humid, and it's still warm. That's the thing. I mean, if we look at the weather right now, you can see it's 20 degrees air temperature. Track is 26 degrees going into the race, and the humidity is 99%. So it's going to be difficult for them to see. I
can just feel my white branded shirt moistening at the expectation of that being so warm. You and I have both been, as Northern Englishmen, we've both been to Italy when the weather looks like that, and it is hot.
Yes, the first time I went to Bologna and got in the car, it looked like that, and it was 34 degrees. Lee Aberdeen on pole position then for the first time this season. Kevin Zemstra alongside him. Then it's championship leader Jesper Eriksson and Jake Cranstone. Sam Fitzpatrick, race winner at Mosport, lines up alongside Aaron Smith's Ferrari. Then it's Taylor Adams and Martin Kenyon, another good qualifying by Martin. Then it's Ian Stitchbury and Ben Chalcraft with Philip Miles and Jack Reeve alongside each other on the 6th row. Connor Hatfield starts 13th ahead of Simon Price with Rob Lundgren and then Alex Fretwell. Then the 4 drivers that didn't set times. Christian Rose starting ahead of Stuart Clark, John Tusting and Danny Weir. We move down to the grid. And before you know it, round number 4 of the CDM Boremula 1 World Championship is underway, and it looks like a great launch by Kevin Zemstra. Very even start by everybody near the front of the field. Taylor Adams didn't get away particularly well, and Ian Stitchbury has made ground on him. Martin Kenyon has gained a place. It's hard to see who's who in all of this. Zemstra around the outside. He's going to try and continue and carry that speed around there, but it looks like Jesper Eriksson making a great start down the inside. Can he hold on to that round the outside of this chicane? I think there's going to be a bit of shenanigans here, Paul. What do you reckon? It's a tight part of the circuit.
Yeah, great driving from everybody to survive that one. Beautiful, beautiful stuff by the Ferrari of Zemstra as well to get onto that second position. Ben Chalcraft a little bit further down. The 2 Saubers are nose to tail, almost collecting a Prost for good measure. But so far, so good. And there is Philip Miles in that Prost under a lot of pressure. Again, difficult visibility, first lap of the race, and so far everybody's passing the test with flying colours.
Stuart Clark has gained 4 places on this opening lap. He's having a real stormer. Great way to get his race underway. Danny Weir has unfortunately had a bit of a spin and has dropped away from the rest of the pack. But a great start for Lee Aberdeen. He's done exactly what he needed to do, and he's got 0.6 of a second over Jesper Eriksson, the championship leader. Zemstra's gone down a place, but Fitzpatrick and Aaron Smith have both gone up 1 each, because Jake Cranstone has dropped a position in the Jordan. But as you've learned alongside me already so far, Paul, that means Jack this early on in a Formula 1 race.
Absolutely. This first lap is all about avoiding throwing it into the scenery. The race will develop, especially here at Mugello, where slipstream is going to be so powerful. Down that gargantuan back straight into the first corner. Where we are now, look at Lee Aberdeen's car. That is Jesper Eriksson in the background. That Williams Mechatron is going to become larger and larger and larger in our mirrors. Just look at the closing speed. Chaz, the slipstream here is absolutely everything in terms of pace for these drivers, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. You have to be in the right place at the right time. Connor Hatfield. Oh, he had a drama and then got going again. I was just going to pick up on the fact that Alex Fretwell in the other Stuart, you can see with the different wings. Oh no, Zemstra's off. Kevin Zemstra, the man with 0 luck whatsoever, has had a spin and has dropped all the way down to 18th position now in the Ferrari. Let's have a look at the spins and moments that we've had so far. This is Danny Weir on lap 1. Is he just going to cut across the right-hand side? Oh, he just gets a tag from John Tusting going into the corner. Don't think John knew much about it. It happens very quickly in these cars. Don't forget, no brake lights on them, and it's very dark. Look, John's there, and Danny brakes early, I think, just to try and avoid any potential incident in front. This is what happened to Connor Hatfield in the Minardi. Now he's got Stuart Clark behind. That's just too hot. Just too hot into there. And the Minardi is going off big time. He's done really well there, actually. The gravel has saved him tenfold. And then let's have a look here at what happens to Kevin Zemstra. Hopefully no contact here with these guys. Just too much curb on the exit. Oh, he touches the gravel that tiny bit. And oh, wow. He was very lucky not to get clipped there, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think Kevin can consider himself exceptionally fortunate to not have attracted any further damage. Let's ride on board there with Sam Fitzpatrick, and that's the view that we see from Sam's car. So Kevin, massively lucky not to get collected by the chasing pack. He's still very much in this race, 18th position, but crucially, there we go, right on cue, on the rear diffuser of the cars ahead, and John Tusting getting more than a little bit aggressive, and I think that's a Robert Lundgren slow-moving Tyrrell as well in the picture. So Kevin Zemstra on the recovery drive has most certainly got plenty to entertain himself. I don't think his mood, though, is going to be particularly high.
I was just surprised he went for that side. I mean, there's enough room for one of the cars, but there was a hell of a lot more room on the other side for him to fill. I suppose he wanted the slipstream off Lundgren, didn't he, just to make sure he extra propelled himself ahead. So makes sense, really, when you look at it that way. But still, Lee Aberdeen, he's there somewhere, leading this race. God, more broadcasters and less visibility. Lee Aberdeen leads away. Jesper Eriksson second, Sam Fitzpatrick third, then it's Aaron Smith, then Jake Cranstone and Taylor Adams. There's not a second between anyone in the top 8. Then Jack Reeve, he's always under the radar, funnily enough, in that dark machine, especially in this fog. But he is in 9th position after gaining 3 places. Ben Chalcraft is in 10th where he started. Philip Miles 11th. He got the first points on the board for Prost last time and it was very well celebrated. Stuart Clark is already up into the points in the Stuart. 6 places gained for him. Alex Fretwell up 3 as well. He's under pressure right now from Simon Price, who was on for points at Mosport but unfortunately fell by the wayside a little bit, and he actually had a spin at the last corner on the last lap, I'm told, Paul.
Oh, that's devastating, isn't it? And that's what you carry through as well. You carry that moment, no matter how much good work that you've done in a race. When it goes wrong, all right, at the end of a race, that's the emotion that you carry through until the next time you get on track. So Simon will be massively keen to have a much better taste in his mouth at the end of this one. By the way, Christian Rose, didn't see this car in qualifying. Christian been mightily impressive, back in the championship now on a full-time basis, and so far so good. 15th position in the early running and looking more than a little bit interested in the back of Simon Price. So again, you're going to see a mix of tactics in this one, Chaz. You're going to see some of our drivers, and I'm looking at you, Stuart Clark, who are aggressive at the start of the race, who move up through the field quick, and then Christian Rose, who's a little bit more circumspect in his charge, but he's still slowly but surely bumping off the cars and moving further and further up the timing stack.
We've had a change for the lead. Jesper Eriksson doing the inevitable, overtaking Lee Aberdeen. I think Lee will maybe have a little bit of, I mean, he moved out of the way. I think he'll have a bit of relief in that because he can save that little bit of fuel. They usually only do 1 pit stop in these races. There was also a battle a little bit further back. We look at the positions now, but Ben Chalcraft got past Jack Reeve in the same way. Now, does Jack stay where he is and make Ben go left? Yes. Ben goes to the left-hand side, tries to go around the outside, tries to outbrake him, but Jack has the optimum line. Ben goes in nice and hot, but no, has to back out of that one. Really close stuff there. Jack shows him the edge of the circuit, doesn't he? Certainly leaves nothing to the imagination there.
Yes, those two are drivers that aren't working together. They're drivers that are working for their own benefit, it has to be said. Right then, look at this one. Look at the beautiful design work on the front nose cone of this Jordan. Look, I mean, that's a work of art, isn't it? Absolutely great stuff on these livery bikes. And Jake Cranstone doing a great job at this moment in time. We've seen Jake in this position before. Don't think he's going to start charging. Jake will be more than satisfied to be slowly but surely working through the pack, metronomical. And that's exactly what we see. Aaron Smith gives him the outside line. And then takes the position away from himself. Aaron, look at that one, from defence to attack. Takes the position away from Fitzpatrick in the Benetton.
Yeah, now he's side by side with Jake Cranstone. Neither of them want to give this up. They might not want to be at the back of the pack, but sometimes you have to just concede. And Sam, he lets Cranstone back through, but then he's going to get held up slightly there. Well, Lee Aberdeen has retaken the lead of this race. Good to see Ian Stitchbury going well as well after he rejoins us. He missed Mosport last time out, but it's good to see him back in the order. A big shout out as well, by the way, to Francois Brandet, bless him. He's not here tonight in the Tyrrell. Francois, I'm sure, won't mind me saying that he's diabetic, is Francois, and he ended up in the emergency room this afternoon, bless him. And he's back home and all well now, just getting some food in him and recovering. But yeah, he had a trip to the emergency room today, bless him, and is not racing with us tonight. And it's a huge shame not to have Francois there. He was so apologetic about it, but man, your health is the most important thing, so he owes us absolutely nothing, and I just hope obviously he's all fit and well for the next round of the championship.
Although we're going to give you 10 kilos of ballast, Francois, so that's no excuse not to attend. No, we joke. I hope very best wishes to you and hope you're fully recovered and enjoying the broadcast today and not missing the track action too much. Looking at the weather conditions, Francois, you probably skipped a good one because this is not easy for these drivers. Look at that one, 11 miles an hour wind, so there's no problems for crosswind, which can be an issue at this circuit. 20 degrees, 100% humidity.
It's pure fog.
Wow. Yeah.
It's just fog right now here at Mugello. It's great to see it like this, though. It's lovely to see iRacing really make it that murky. Down the inside goes Jesper Eriksson. Down the inside goes Jake Cranstone. These guys are really not working together here, and it's something that I had a good chat with Kevin Zemstra about, because he was, worried that the guys pushed a little bit earlier and, earlier than you'd expect in that sort of part of the race, and that's what led to the incident that he had. And yeah, it's interesting to see that there really is quite the attack. This is Simon Price under attack by Kevin Zemstra and Christian Rose. Kevin's still trying to make his way back through the order. Rob Lundgren just runs a little bit wide in the background in his Tyrrell. John Tusting behind him there. Then Connor Hatfield and Danny Weir. Well, back further up the order, Jake Cranstone has got the attentions of Aaron Smith's Ferrari. Then Sam Fitzpatrick's Benetton. Biggest mover in the field so far, though, Paul. Stuart Clark, once again, doing an excellent job here. Into the points, just behind Philip Miles, who, once again, doing a great job at representing Prost.
Yep, both drivers doing sterling work at this moment in time. But Stuart, just like we said at the top of the show, we know that Stuart Clark is fast. We know that he's a driver that, when all is fair and even, is more than capable of fighting for the win. So what can we do from the back of the grid is the biggest question. It's definitely looking like points for now, but don't discount this car to be a top 6 contender, especially, Chaz, our front 5-6 cars, they're not working together quite as strongly as I expected. And that's really preventing them from gapping the rest of the field, which is music to the ears of Stuart Clark, because before too long, this is going to turn into quite the gaggle up front.
It really is. 34 laps here at Mugello. The drivers can pit anywhere after lap 8. And it's quite the long race. They're nearly an hour long, these races now, and in the past they were about 2/3 of the distance they are now, usually about sort of 40 minutes, between 40 and 45 anyway, with the start procedure. But these guys are certainly not working together at all. That's the key thing to take away from this. Aaron Smith has wanted more and more points. Aaron going very well in the championship, as he so often is. He's always quick in everything we see him in. He's 10 points off Jesper Eriksson at the moment. You get 15 points for a race victory, so Jesper with quite a healthy lead, with Fitzpatrick right behind him though. But Aaron is tied with Lee Aberdeen in that McLaren just up the road, so he knows that he's going to be dropping a place in the championship if Lee outscores him here. But he's also got to think about Jake Cranstone, the car just in front as well, because Jake will gain a point on him if they finish like this. But it's quite the savage point system, similar to how it was back in the day, but it still extends to more drivers in the field, so it accounts for that sort of spread of pace, doesn't it, Paul? It's a bit of the best of both worlds.
Yeah, what we want to achieve in this championship is keep that championship alive, but don't do it in such a way that you get an artificial front runner or an artificial champion. I think the point system absolutely has been nailed: 15, 12, 10, 9, 8, and so on and so forth down to 12th position. It's great, and it keeps the championship absolutely alive. As you mentioned, 10 points cover our top 4 drivers, so any one of our front-running drivers here can really make or break their charge as we head into the almost, I keep saying it's the second half of the season, but it really isn't. We're nowhere near it, Paul. Shut up, fool. But as we headed into the meat and bones, the middle section of the season, that's when you want to carry that momentum forward. That's when you want that benefit behind you, and that's when you want the mental bonus of knowing you've done a good start. So you've got a bit of wiggle room to get a bit excitable, just like these boys are getting right about now.
Jack Reeve has Philip Miles looking down the inside. He gets close to the back of Ben Chalcraft as well while all of this is going on. Not that you can see it, but yeah, you're absolutely right, Paul. You don't want to go into the later part of the season having to recuperate points. You want to just get them on the board nice and safely in the first half of the championship. So from that point, you've banked yourself a bit of time. You've given yourself the ability to, pick your battles a little bit more wisely, and later in the season go, I don't need to overtake this person, I don't need to fight for that exact position. You don't start totting up the points while you're driving. You just get yourself in a position where you're comfortable and just take home whatever you score at the time. Jesper Eriksson has had 2 race victories so far this season. He won rounds 1 and 2. Round 2, an incredible drive from lights to flag, which is very rare in Boremula 1. And then, of course, Sam Fitzpatrick, who currently runs in 5th position, took that brilliant win at Mosport. It's been a long time coming for Sam as well, so it's great to see him finally get that. But there are plenty of drivers in this championship here that could all win races. Taylor Adams has dropped away from that lead group a little bit. Ryan Stitchbury under pressure from Martin Kenyon as well, so there's continuous developments going on here. I think really, though, Paul, there's been a few scenarios in the team's championship based on the reserves and people driving for other people, and Ben Chalcraft and I are working on it, and Ben, bless him, is so good with the spreadsheets and so on. I mean, I like to think I'm good with them, but Ben just takes it to another level. But we have 3 points in the current format separating the top 3 teams, and that's 6 drivers separated by just 3. It's just balmy. Down the inside goes Stitchbury. big attack on Taylor Adams.
Lovely, lovely overtake from Yayan. And Taylor has been, as you mentioned just then, slowly getting a bit detached from the cars in front. So that McLaren driver doesn't look too happy, monstering the curbs as he tries desperately to find a retort to the overtaking Yayan Stitchbury. But I think Taylor now, best play at this moment in time. Let's follow that Benetton for a couple of laps. In fact, before we do that, let's take another look at Sam Fitzpatrick. This is the move to the inside of Aaron Smith. The inside is your friend in T1. As long as you stay to that apex of that curb, you have the line covered. There's absolutely nothing that Smith can do about it. And for Sam Fitzpatrick, that was a very conservative but impressive overtaking manoeuvre. And that's what you need at this stage, Chaz.
Yeah.
No point going gung-ho, otherwise it can only go gung-no.
Absolutely, and the thing is as well, you want to prove a point to your other competitors and say, look, if I need to overtake you, I can. But you don't want to do it in such a flamboyant way that you upset your own rhythm and upset your own race. I mean, Martin Kenyon right now is probably going to be happy to sit in 8th position behind these guys. He currently is 13th in the championship on 6 points. But in this current 8th position, he's going to score a good number of points at least and end up with what would be, 4 points, I believe. And that would pop him above a number of drivers. It would put him even above Matt Hoyland, who's in 8th. It'd score him more points than Jack Reeve, Ben Chalcraft even, his teammates. So, just getting consistent points here and there in a championship where they are hard to come by, it's what it's all about, really. But it still retains that element of, if a driver scores 1 point, similar to what Philip Miles did last time, it can be celebrated as we go 3 wide into turn 1. Martin Kenyon leaving all the room in the world there. Good, respectful stuff. And the positions somehow remain the same. But what a great battle we're having here. And there's an even better one back here, look, as well. Look at this lot.
Oh, this is beautiful. Look at this little battle pipe. We saw Jack Reeve there. Stuart Clark in the Stuart. That's gone from a forward momentum for Stuart to a little bit of a bottleneck now as we're riding with Kevin Zemstra. Kevin, well done to him. 18th last time we checked in. Now very much still glued into this little fight that we've got in front of us. Alex Fretwell being the car immediately ahead of the Ferrari, and I think the first car to get picked off. Fretwell looks a little bit vulnerable at this moment in time, but how much big picture consideration are these drivers applying to this fight? My guess is nothing. But you would think that maybe there's just a skerrick of, hey guys, let's think about closing the gap in front of us. I think I'm going to be proven wrong though, Chaz, almost instantly.
Maybe so. A bit of a check up there. But the thing is, Kevin only needs to overtake 2 cars and he's back in the points. It may not be a big point score with the spin that he had earlier, but at the end of the day, if he can overtake all of these drivers here and get in front of Ben Chalcraft at the very front of this, then he'll be into 9th position and he'll be in a lot more of a comfy place and at least get a good few points on the board. And like we've just been saying for the last few laps, that's what it's all about. Nearly a third race distance here in the CDM Boremula 1 World Championship at Mugello. This is round 4 of season 3. Thanks as always to JL Race Aesthetics, thanks to Derbyshire Holiday Homes and Bottle of Scotch Racing for their sponsorship of the championship. You've got yourself, no, myself, not yourself. You've got myself, Chaz Draycott and Paul Jeffrey in the commentary box, and we've got Jesper Eriksson, Lee Aberdeen and Jake Cranstone now getting amongst it for the race lead, Paul. They are not hanging back, these boys.
Not at all. This is what we're talking about. Jake in particular, Cranstone there, the Jordan Mugen Honda, the number 9 machine, slowly but surely picking off a car at a time. No heroics, no theatrics. Just getting about the job, nice and steadily, making a pass where it's possible, saving fuel where it's realistic. And this has been a very under the radar drive so far from Jake Cranstone. Very much the same for Sam Fitzpatrick, although maybe with a little bit more aplomb. For Sam, who's been a very aggressive start of the race in 4th position, he'll be pretty satisfied with that one. Lap 11 of 34, we're very firmly in pit stop window time now.
Yeah.
Of course, drivers can stop after lap 8. It's up to them where they stop, as long as they stop in this race. Maybe, Chaz, maybe we need to think about some off-strategy moves now.
Rob Lundgren is definitely not pulling the off-strategy moves here, just has a bit of a moment down in turn 1. John Tusting was involved in that, I think. Let's have a look at Simon Price as well, who also went off the road for just a moment. I think he got away with it again, maybe just attacking the curbs a little bit. Never mind, that's a spin, and he's going to keep it rolling enough and then gets it going again. John Tusting has to avoid another car having a bit of a moment there. Back to the front of the field, though. Jesper Eriksson leads, and the first one to blink is Sam Fitzpatrick. He heads into the pits, tries to get an undercut. He's very late on the brakes on the way into the pit lane. But he makes his way down what is quite a short pit lane, considering the size of the start-finish straight here at Mugello. It's quite a short pit lane, isn't it?
Needs to be when you're going flat chat for that long and down the start-finish straight. Absolutely. Short in distance, but long in time. And this is great to see now. Sam Fitzpatrick being the first of our leaders to go off strategy. So to pit at a different time to the cars around them. Many people that are not familiar with motor racing may be asking why you would do that one. It's so you can get some clean air and push a little bit harder. Simon Price had some clean air, didn't work out so well for the Minardi Ford driver, a little pirouette. But again, for Sam Fitzpatrick, I love this one, Chaz, and it's perfect. It's still early in the race, all the field have cleared him. He has got acreage now to absolutely hammer the throttle pedal and see if he can try and rustle up some advantage when these boys stop in the non too distant.
Well, it's like we were saying in the previous round of the championship, isn't it, that it's all well and good them having slipstream off one another and being in a battle pack, but a lot of the time to save the fuel and to stay cleanly within that battle pack, they have to lift and brake early quite a lot, so they're actually usually losing time at most circuits, especially those with big heavy braking zones as well, and there's quite a number of them here at Mugello, some really big braking zones. So I wonder if Sam's just thought, you know what, I'm fed up of having a fight with these boys and getting stuck with them. I'm just going to go and enjoy myself and have a good couple of laps where I can just kick the car's head in for a bit and put in my ultimate time.
And I think that's a great tactic. I'm a massive, massive fan of a contra strategy. Doing something different to those around you, that's where you can try and wrap out some advantage. By the way, Jesper Eriksson under all the pressure in the Worldly Aberdeen. Now, telegraphing the move nice and early to the outside. Eriksson in absolutely no mood whatsoever to turn that one into a battle. Concedes that position as Martin Kenyon in the Sauber Petronas decides he's had enough of his particular battle and follows Sam Fitzpatrick into the early stoppers club. And there is Sam right on cue, all on his lonesome, but he'll be satisfied with that one because he's racing to a delta at this moment in time rather than against cars on track.
Stuart Clark and Philip Miles side by side here. Stuart and Prost. Car behind them is Kevin Zemstra, only half a second back as well. He's got a front row seat to this battle, doesn't want to get involved in anybody else's incidents if there are any. But Stuart Clark continues this great drive through the field. 9 positions gained for him so far. Philip Miles doesn't want to play ball with any of this though. There are some really big movers in the order so far, but obviously we've got a couple of pit stops to think about now. Martin Kenyon has just headed back out onto the circuit. Stuart Clark, what a great drive this has been so far in this race. Stuart in the Stuart. Into P9, up 9 as well. Taylor Adams is very, very handy at holding on to this position by the look of it. Ian Stitchbury all over the back of him in that Benetton. But I'm intrigued now, Paul. I think maybe some of these guys will be pitting at this stage because Martin Kenyon and Sam Fitzpatrick have both been in. Can you risk going that many more laps?
Exactly. Your hand has been forced a little bit as a driver now because of those pit stops. And the perfect candidate for a pit stop now, Taylor Adams. That car is bleeding lap time to those around them. Maybe get in there if you're Taylor, put some fresh boots on it, take yourself out of the pressure cooker that you find yourself in and see if you can try and rustle up some advantage. John Tustin goes to say hello to the gravel. It's a very, very humid day here in a virtual Italy, so maybe a day at the beach feels a bit more appropriate. Let's have a look at what happened to the number 17. Over the curb, all looks fair and well. Again, trying to change any direction in these cars is hard, and that's a barrier kiss. Oh dear, that front left, right wheel ain't going to be looking very healthy at all.
No, fortunately, iRacing did its usual thing there where it exaggerates the damage for a second and the wheel tether became very apparent, but then it sort of went, oh, actually, you know what, it wasn't that bad. Alex Fretwell, the was reserve driver, but now full-time driver for Stuart, holding on to his honour here alongside Kevin Zemstra, and you can see, look, Christian Rose has come with these guys. Well, he's come with Kevin, at least, and followed him up the order to gain these places. Kevin having a really solid comeback now into the top 10 as things stand, but there's a few cars that will be ahead on strategy, and listen to that there, Paul. Christian backs out slightly, doesn't decide to go side by side with Fretwell because he knows that they could very easily lose that group of cars in front if they battle too hard here. And it's, again, big picture thinking is what helps these drivers through. I'm so impressed by Stuart Clark and Jack Reeve going well as well. 4 places up for him. It's great driving from some of these lads in the middle of the field. It's just, I can't really think of anything other to say than big picture thinking, but it's just great self-preservation, isn't it?
It is, but I think for Stuart Clark, the only big picture thinking he is drive that car like you stole it and the cops are after you. He's been incredible, hasn't he, over the course of this race? Just taking no time. Jesper Eriksson, by the way, is in pit lane, so our race leader has decided he's had enough of this set of boots and he's going to go and change them over real quick for another stab. This will be fascinating to see where Jesper comes out on track, where he's going to be gap-wise in relation to Kenyon and Fitzpatrick, currently circulating in 16th and 17th. And there is Sam Fitzpatrick. And you can see with your own eyes that Sam, he knows there's an opportunity and he's pushing it like nobody's business.
Stuart Clark and Kevin Zemstra are the other two drivers that have come into the pits as well, interestingly. Stuart, I think, has maybe just overstepped his box slightly. Rob Lundgren and John Tusting are both out of the race, unfortunately, so we've lost those two. Rob Lundgren has been in the pits for a bit. John Tusting has the car has disappeared and reappeared. I think it was just because of the damage earlier. Now Sam Fitzpatrick is going. Jesper Eriksson, though, wow, he's over the horizon there. He's up the hill, just heading into turn 1. His pit stop was 19.7 seconds. Sam Fitzpatrick's was 21 seconds. So Jesper Eriksson holds on to a net lead at the minute, while it's currently held on track by Jake Cranstone.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. So that early stop from Sam Fitzpatrick, not quite working out as things stand. 3 seconds is the difference between himself and Jesper Eriksson. But as you say, these are our current race leaders on track, and Cranstone and Aberdeen really don't want to be squabbling at this moment in time. Lee Aberdeen, yes, he's in the slipstream, but he's not posturing to make a move. They're trying to push each other along as much as possible. Aaron Smith trying to cling on to this fight as well. Let's see if Aaron decides to jump down pit lane. No, he doesn't, but Lee Aberdeen does. Second place car on pit road.
Very interesting to see there be that much of a spread in these strategies, you know. Usually there's only 1 or 2 laps in it, but there's been a good 3 or 4 laps now between these guys choosing to pit, and I'm very intrigued to see who gets this one right, actually, but that's the joy of having races with pit stops in. I was just thinking there when we were looking at Aaron Smith, we saw at Mosport he went a lot longer than the other guys. He sat at the back of the train, didn't he, and saved fuel for a long old time and went a good 2 or 3 laps later than everybody else, and then he tried to make it work. He had a very good lead because of the shorter stop, but it wasn't enough to completely get away from the slipstream, was it? And then the pack caught back up with him, and ultimately he didn't get the race win, but he had to throw some dice on the table, didn't he, Paul, and try something.
And I think that'll be an interesting lesson for Aaron as well, that he knows it's worked once. Let's see if it works again. Jesper Eriksson just makes his way past one of the Minardis, and there in the background, that is Lee Aberdeen leaving pit lane. So Jesper Eriksson, this has worked out during the pit cycle very, very nicely indeed. He's managed to eke out a little bit more advantage than before the pit cycle started. This is Formula 1, of course. It means nothing. That's going to close up before we wave the checkered flag. But for now, at least, Jesper can pat himself on the back. Job well done. Great strategic move.
This is still going on as well. These guys have all pitted in this race so far. As Chalcraft has a wobble. Jack Reeve gets back in front of him, and Kevin Zemstra now wants to take advantage as they head back down towards the next chicane. Chalcraft comes over to the right, says, "Nope, door is closed, son. You are not coming through." Kevin in the Ferrari just trying to bide his time, get the run on the exit of the corner. Cranstone and Smith now heading into the pit lane. I imagine Taylor Adams will do the same, but he's quite a while behind those guys. It was nearly 10 seconds by the time he reached the pit lane, so a big old gap. Looks like Ian Stitchbury is the driver to carry on, though. He's gone past the pit lane and will now lead this race for a lap before he comes into the pits. So it's all changed. Christian Rose doing the same as well by the look of it. Some of these guys going for really, really long stints, but it's Jesper Eriksson that currently leads it net on the circuit. So we'll ride on board with Jesper, and we'll keep our eye on when the others come out of the pit lane. You can see them sort of as the ghosted little dots moving now towards the end of the pit lane. It looks like Jesper's going to clear them by some margin. How quickly can they get up to speed, though? There they are on the right-hand side. He's ahead of Cranstone, but it's not going to be enough to completely get rid of the slipstream, I don't think. Cranstone and Smith are over there, just behind the timing tower, just in front of Lee Aberdeen. So Aaron Smith has gained a few places in that train. Still having his blink in and out, as he so often does. But we still have a few drivers left to pit, as you can see here. Ian Stitchbury and Christian Rose still yet to come in. It's sort of, with the more drivers we have, they've sort of filled the gaps, haven't they, Paul? It looked like there was a huge lead for Jesper Eriksson, but he's just sort of filled the gap more and more as Stuart Clark has unfortunately had a stop and had to get going again. Stuart has dropped way down the order.
Let's take a look. Let's unpick all this. We've seen this quite a bit today. It's a very unusual spin to have in these cars. You just lose the downforce on the rear. Around it goes. It's a lazy spin. There's not a lot you can do about it. But curiously, in these conditions at this circuit, we've seen several drivers have very, very similar incidents. So obviously, these cars are very much bled out on the downforce to try and get a maximum speed possible. There is Stuart coming down pit lane, and I do think that little incident, Chaz, has really put paid to what's been a sterling drive from the back of the grid from Stuart. It's a shame, but I don't think we're going to quite see the end result we were hoping for him.
I was just trying to see where he'd lost a load of positions, but it seemed like he lost a bunch of positions while he was in the pits. He didn't necessarily have a much longer pit stop than anybody else. He was still 20.57 seconds, but it says he was in the pit lane for only half a minute compared to everybody else's 50-odd seconds. So I'm really not sure what's happened there to Stuart, whether he's had some sort of issue in the pit lane. But yeah, he's down in 17th place now, and after all the pit stops behind Simon Price, just ahead of Danny Weir. That is a big old shame. But right now, there's a big battle going on in this front pack. These guys don't want to scrap too hard, though, because they're not quite within slipstreaming range of Jesper Eriksson. And Jesper, again, continues to lead in that Williams. He's been so impressive. Back to this. Jack Reeve and Kevin Zemstra. Great recovery so far, this by Kevin, isn't it, Paul?
Oh, yeah, been fantastic from the Ferrari driver. I've thoroughly enjoyed commentating over Kevin Zemstra's exploits over the course of this season. And again, that misfortune, unfortunately, was still there for Zemstra, but he's showing that pace. And if he could just get a lottery ticket, win the lottery, and buy some good luck, he would be devastatingly quick in this championship. But what I love to see is value for money every single time. Watch Kevin Zemstra's car. If we had a red button, like on the good old BBC, press the red button to watch the onboard cameras, Kevin Zemstra's would have been full of drama. And he's doing a sterling job, 10th position. There's still a bit more opportunity, I feel, up the road. A couple of seconds, not insurmountable. So keep your eyes on that Ferrari, folks. Kevin Zemstra's a man going places at quite a lick of pace.
He absolutely is. Martin Kenyon, after the pit stops, is ahead of Taylor Adams, and his teammate Lee Aberdeen is in the wall. Lee Aberdeen, where on earth is that? He's in the wall and he's out of the race. Lee Aberdeen hops back to the pits. What has caused this then? This is towards the end of the lap. He's on the grass. Oh, he's lit it up and he's going to cross the road. Just misses Aaron Smith, and oh, that's, a devastating hit into the wall. It's really bent the left rear wheel out of shape. Oh, that's devastating for Lee Aberdeen. The man that started on pole position, let's not forget. Look how loose it is already. Runs wide.
Looks right away from the apex, isn't he?
Oh, it's a weird impact into the barrier, but oh, that's devastating for Lee. Like I've said, he was the fastest in pre-season testing. He's put it on pole position here. And now he's going to get a 0 score. Unless he heads back out. They do get a fast repair, so he has to wait for the car to, in inverted commas, tow back to the pit lane, but he's not in it at the moment, I'm afraid. That is really devastating, that, because Lee was on for some very, very strong points tonight, and he could have done with those. He's 10 off the championship leader. He was tied with Aaron Smith coming here on 20 points, and he's going to leave here with 0 by the look of it. That is gutting. Philip Miles still wants to get another point for Prost. He got his first one last time out. He wants more now. He's had a taste for blood, and he wants a bit more.
That's what they always say, though, isn't it? When you score that first point, the floodgates open, the pressure is off of your shoulders, and they just keep coming and coming and coming. And look at this one. That's a run and 3/4 for Philip Miles. Beautiful stuff. Jack Reeve just ahead of us. Gets in a little bit out of shape. The arrow's now in the middle of the racetrack. Will be carrying that momentum in the Prost Peugeot. Philip Miles trying to decide which way to go. Elects for the inside line. He's given absolutely no room whatsoever. Reeve, massively aggressive. Great bit of defending from the all-black machine, the Arrows car of Jack Reeve. And Philip Miles almost escapes to the next season. He's almost in the 1999 livery. That's how close he got to the back of that Arrows.
I was going to say it'd probably break down before it got there, the Prost. But look at the run that he got by squaring off that corner. All of a sudden, he's back with him as Cranstone has retaken the race lead now. He's gone ahead of Jesper Eriksson, so he's caught back up, used that slipstream to his advantage, and a Jordan leads the way here at Mugello in round 4 of the CDM Boremula 1 World Championship. You're listening to Chaz Draycott and Paul Jeffrey in the commentary box. Thanks as ever to JL Race Aesthetics, Bottle of Scotch Racing and Derbyshire Holiday Homes for their support with the series. We hope you're all enjoying the show here tonight, everybody. It's fantastic, as ever, to bring you this broadcast. It's always good fun with the series. Always good fun with these guys. Car 11 goes P11 now, though, Paul. Nice commitment, that, by Philip Miles.
Yeah, that was a fabulous pass in the end. Tried all the traditional ways to get away past. Came up short, so went for the outside pass into T1. Why don't you put that in your pipe and smoke it? Says Philip Miles. Beautiful, beautiful manoeuvre. Jack Reeve drops back down into 12th position. But now for Jack, big question is, does he have the pace to keep with him? Does he have the pace to hold off the attentions of this man, Christian Rose? Christian didn't take part in qualifying. Based on previous performance, we kind of expected this Williams to be a little bit further up the running order. And I think Christian might well be getting a bit frustrated with this one, Chaz. This is bearing in mind the DNFs that we've had already and Lee Aberdeen being in a world of strife. I don't think Christian would have been anticipating 13th at this stage of the race with just 14 laps to go.
No, I think he's got a little bit more work to do, to say the least, but he was back in the car for the first time at Okayama, and he said it was one of the most enjoyable sim races he's ever done, and it was lovely to hear him thoroughly enjoying himself again as he closes right up to Jack Reeve. His mid-corner pace there was lovely compared to the arrows in front of him, and you've got to think it's a case of when, not if, he gets through. I wonder if Jack is struggling with those tyres, because Philip has now got past him and sort of dispatched of him, hasn't he? And look, he just doesn't have the same turn-in as Christian Rose does. Christian puts the car down the inside. Now, he's not going to have wanted to do that because he won't have the slingshot down the start-finish straight now. They're going to be completely even, although I do wonder if Jack has got a little bit more of an advantage because there's going to be a little slither of slipstream from Philip Miles' car ahead. You can see they're both moving around a little bit here. They need to be careful of one another. Jack wants to come all the way over to the left. Christian wants to go to the right. He's going to go down the inside into turn 1 on the brakes. Lovely stuff by Christian. Well judged. Jack's going to try and squeeze him to the apex. They go very close wheel to wheel. Jack moves over to the right again. And lovely round the outside by Christian. Then tucks it back to the apex in the second part of the corner. Can he then just hold on to it for the next chicane? He's going to put the car in the middle of the road. Don't give Jack any options. Great driving by both of them there. Really close, but really fair. You love to see that.
Yeah, fantastic stuff from Christian Rose. But I will say, Jack Reeve's car looks like a toddler. It just won't do what he wants it to do. Try as he might. If he wants an apex, it goes to the middle of the corner. If he wants an early turn in, it turns in late. That arrows looks absolutely horrendous for Jack Reeve at this moment in time. Whether that's damage, whether that's tyres, whether he's just fallen out of the mental zone that you need to be in to compete at this level, I do not know. But I think Jack Reeve is going to be going backwards and not forwards for the final 13 laps of this race, which is great news for Christian Rose. That gives him an opportunity to not worry about the behind fight and concentrate on trying to close Philip Miles down, which the pace that Philip's going might not necessarily be the easiest thing in the world.
No, definitely not. He's certainly on a mission, and so too is another man that we've been following quite closely throughout this race, Kevin Zemstra in the Ferrari, 9th position now. Don't forget there's no pit stops to think about anymore. He's right up behind Alex Fretwell, who is the biggest mover in the field. 8 places gained for Alex. This is his first appearance for Stewart, and he showed a lot of great potential in the Benetton from the back of the grid at Mosport, and he's been doing a mega job here tonight. Out of all the cars at set times, he was the slowest, but look at that. Kevin flipping heck. One of my arguments with Kevin after Mosport was that he didn't leave a lot of room on the inside, but flipping heck, he really left millimetres there for Alex Fretwell. That was a close one indeed. I'd love to see that from on board with Alex, just see how close that was.
Yeah, this is again, you've got to be aggressive in these manoeuvres, but for Kevin Zemstra, that's inviting jeopardy. Look how close we're going to be then. Riding on board with Fretwell. Fretwell keeps the car to the inside line, just hoping that door opens up. It does momentarily. And that's about one sticker of a sponsor away from ripping that front wing off.
Yeah, if Jackie Stewart had just worked a little bit harder in 1998, then they probably would have made contact. But Jake Cranstone leads this race at the moment, and you can feel a little, I'm not going to say desperation from Sam Fitzpatrick and Aaron Smith, but these guys will be driving the wheels off that Benetton and Ferrari respectively to try and stick with Jesper Eriksson, who is putting in the fastest pace he can, with Jake Cranstone just in front, giving him the slipstream. Jake, as of next week, is going to be racing again in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge, trying to defend his championship title there in the Porsche GT4. But look, he's playing the game here. He let Jesper go through, and he said, look, I'm going to back out, you get in front, I'm going to use the slipstream from you now. And we've seen it before, haven't we, actually, Paul? I think some of the guys have admitted that they put it really fine on fuel in the pit stops, so they know that in that final stint after the stop, they do actually need to save a little bit of fuel, don't they?
Yeah, and that's a risky tactic to take, it has to be said. But eventually, it took us 23 laps to get to this point, but now they're starting to play the strategic game a little bit at the front of the field. Taylor Adams, this was a car that was sliding down the running order, it has to be said, during the middle section of this race. Looks like Taylor, dug around a little bit, changed his driving style, just got a better grip on what the car's doing at this moment in time, and has found a little bit more speed in that McLaren Mercedes. But I must say, Martin Kenyon, what a job that Martin is doing. What a job in the Sauber Petronas number 15. That's a really strong position for that car, but more to the point, he looks absolutely like he was born to be in this kind of position, Martin. No mistakes, no Larry driving, just on point, delivering lap after lap after lap. Superb stuff.
It's lovely, the story of Martin, really. I've commentated on Martin for maybe 4 years now, and after first commentating on him in some oval racing and then seeing him move on to the likes of Formula One, move on to GT cars and so on, he's constantly improving, is Martin, and he won't mind me saying that, he was a backmarker for a lot of the series I commentated on. Now he's fighting against someone like Taylor Adams, who's a consistent race winner in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. Taylor is no slouch whatsoever. He was potential championship winning material. He was in the fight for the championship, and now Martin's against him on circuit in level machinery, and he's doing an amazing job. And it's great to see, because he's down in 13th in the championship after a bit of a rocky start, but he's got 6 points to his name, and I think if he finishes here, he's going to double his tally, whether it be in front of or behind Taylor Adams. So I'm sure he'll revel in the fact he gets to have this fight with Taylor, but also the fact that he's going to score big points for Sauber tonight, and so too really is his teammate. Ben's going to get a few on the board if he stays where he is. And Jan Stitchbury too, he's been under the radar, hasn't he? The fog has clearly clouded a lot of stuff other than just the visuals here, Paul, because there's some great under-the-radar drives tonight.
There really is, and I think the audience over at Chaz Draycott Media on YouTube need to take a moment to feel for Martin Kenyon. He's raced ovals, he's raced GTs, he's raced Formula cars, and yet he can't get rid of Chaz Draycott commentating over his races. Despite having gone to so many different disciplines, Chaz just pops up and broadcasts them. So, no, jokes aside though, Martin doing a really, really good job. He's lost that position now, unfortunately, to the McLaren. Big question is though, let's have a look. If Kenyon has the pace to stay with Taylor Adams, there's not a lot of fight ahead of these two cars, but if they can circulate close together, they might be there to pick up the pieces of dramas further up the field and score a hatful more points than they're currently on for in 6th and 7th places, respectively.
Jakub Szymanski there saying that's true. Anyone who's driven ovals deserves sympathy.
Ovals are godlike, Jakub. Ovals are godlike. It's the only reason I go on iRacing, for the ovals. Absolutely adore it.
I must say, the NASCAR simulation side of iRacing is just second to none. It's the one thing iRacing started doing, and it's what they continue to do so well. At the end of the day, they are the runners of the official NASCAR E-Series, and it's some of the most realistic racing you'll ever see. Not down to the visuals, not down to the damage model, the weather, any of that, but just one thing I always say about iRacing is the racing that you see on it is realistic. For us as commentators, it's the easiest to commentate on because we don't have to justify the cars moving in a weird way or the camera doing something stupid. It looks like humans are operating these cameras, it looks like humans are driving these cars. The way the cars behave is so natural in iRacing. And when you watch the NASCAR side of it as well, it's just tenfold. Even, you wouldn't expect them to be able to show off as much body language as these road cars. Look at the way that they hook themselves on those curbs. They wobble around a little bit. you can see more of that in the NASCAR side, and it really is epic. I remember following it when it was called the Peak Antifreeze Series, with the likes of Ray Alfalo winning the way as well. I'm still following Ray to this day with his ventures, and still a very, very rapid sim racer, but the current crop is just unbelievably talented. And yeah, it's just an awesome aspect to it. I'm no good in them, I barely ever drive them, but I know just how good it is on that NASCAR side of iRacing. It's wonderful.
Really is. By the way, while you were saying that one, somehow, because you mentioned that all these drivers are human-like, Ian Stitchbury, the man on screen now, in 5th position, driving a Formula 1 livery ProMaster car around one of the most technically exciting and quickest tracks in the whole wide world, and doing it probably a second and a half faster than I can manage on my very best day, if not more, has the audacity to say hello from the number 5 car in the YouTube channel chat. People of your skill, Ian, sicken me. You can do multiple things. Sicken me, man. That's well done. That's great. Well done.
What was it you said a while ago, Paul? I love being grossly incompetent because it's so much more fun. It was something along those lines. But you're absolutely right, though. That is disgusting by Ian Stitchbury in such a
funny way, though. But this is what I was meaning at the start of the season. I mentioned that Ian's a real character. You know, he really gets him involved with the banter of a championship and always looks at the positive side of stuff. And he gets involved in a serious aspect as well. You know, if there's improvements to be made, if there's something from a driver's perspective that needs addressing, he's there to do it. He's got the all-round package as Ian. He's quick on circuit, but he also knows what's best for the drivers. But he's also a really good laugh. And to be able to do that while driving and say in chat hello from the 5 car is just, I love that. That's just a mega little nod to it. Aaron Smith leads the way, by the way, in the Ferrari for not the first time this season, but as we all know, we are 8 laps from the end. That means Jack.
But this is the thing, right? Aaron Smith now leads, and I've been keeping a quiet eye, as opposed to a noisy eye, on Aaron all the way through this race. I saw this in the previous events in Formula 1 I've done. He's happy to not make any waves at the start of the race, and then bring the car alive when it matters. I cannot respect that kind of mentality more. I adore that one. He's not about the glory hunting, doesn't want to be the race leader, he just wants the end result. And really impressive from Aaron Smith. He's going to come under pressure now. My God, that's a scary sight, isn't it? Jesper Eriksson and Jake Cranstone. Aaron Smith, bless him, he's trying to stay out of trouble, and they're going 3 wide into T1 for the love of God. Be careful, Aaron, be careful, sunshine. Last of the late breakers. I'm not giving this one up, says Aaron Smith. Jesper Eriksson says, yes, you are, sunshine. Eriksson takes the position away, and I think, Chaz, the calm, the time that we've been bantering and making jokes is over because we've got a motor race on.
That was absolutely epic, though. Great commitment by Aaron. I thought there's no chance he's getting that stopped and turned in while Jesper Eriksson tries to squeeze into the apex, but great car control. Really lovely commitment by all of these guys. That was mega. Really mega. And Sam Fitzpatrick sits there the whole time, I imagine, in his very dry tone, just sort of shaking his head going, what are you doing in this Benetton? But Sam has won a race already this season. He knows what it's like to taste the glory. Jake Cranstone has won a race in the championship before in a McLaren in Formula 1, but has not done so in a Jordan. So it'd be exciting to see if he can win that here tonight. Great race, though, here at Mugello. It may be dark, it may be gloomy and very foggy out there in 100% humidity, despite being still slightly warm. But this is Formula 1 at its finest. We've got a lead battle towards the end of this race with multiple cars involved. 2 Benettons in the top 5, and let's not forget, 4 different manufacturers in the top 4, Paul. We couldn't ask for much more than that.
Absolutely beautiful. This is peak 1990s. A Williams, a Ferrari, a Jordan and a Benetton. Come on. These are the days that we absolutely love reliving. One of the golden eras of motor racing. And Jake Cranstone, my man Jake, in his Damon Hill lid in the beautiful Jordan 198 Mugen Honda. He thought about it, and then he came off the throttle. Happy. Oh my goodness me. Hello, Williams. And then now we've gone from chillax to 3 wide again, down into T1. Cranstone, though, is the wisest of the bunch and elects to back in to his 3rd position.
And Aaron Smith regains the race lead a lap later. Fantastic. And Sam Fitzpatrick the whole time is sitting in 4th position. I think what he was doing there, he got on it just last minute, didn't he? Because you heard Jake backed out of it. Then as soon as there was a run, as soon as Aaron tried to get past the Williams, that's when he then planted his foot again. I think Sam was doing the same thing just behind Jake, And all of a sudden, Sam found himself in there too, and he was able to go down the inside. He didn't go for it in the end, but I think he's just using these laps and these scenarios as practice for the final few laps of the race. Can I get enough of a run from 4th position to overtake them before the line? If not, he's going to try and slot himself into 3rd at some point. He's going to try it from there. He's in a great position right now, is Sam, to test this and play with this scenario and see what he can do before the run to the line.
Yep, Sam's a wise driver. He knows that leading the race at this moment in time is like buying a pair of shoes on sale that are too small. Might be tempting, but it's an absolute waste of time. So he's just going to loiter in that 4th position. Let's have a look, see if the guys are in front play a bit silly and somebody loses it off the track. That's an opportunity. Let's have a look where their appetite to make a move is, because that's vital. As a driver, especially the driver at the back of a battle pack, you want to see the planning that the drivers in front of you are making, so you can plan around it. And I do think Sam Fitzpatrick is in that mode at this moment in time. Content to watch, wait and think. The Alan Prost move, some might say. If you're going to make some noise, Chaz, you make it when it matters, and that's what Sam Fitzpatrick's planning at this stage.
Aaron Smith is really desperate not to give this lead up. I don't really want to use the desperate, actually. It's not the word for it. But just really committed to not giving this lead up. Back down the inside of Jesper Eriksson into turn 1. He is showing that he is not playing the team game here. He's got a very nonchalant blue visor that we were laughing our heads off at Mosport last time out. And he is just, I mean, he's mirroring that sort of facial expression that it tends to give off right now. No care in the world. You're going to attack me. I'm going to put the car on the inside. And look at his speed through this sector as well. 0.4 of a second he's just gained on Jesper Eriksson. Aaron Smith is driving the wheels off that Ferrari right now. This is great to watch.
And I'm not at all annoyed that Aaron is driving the exact opposite way, which I've just been praising him for. Which is not irritated in the slightest. But no, I'm surprised by this. I'll be honest. Let's put jokes to one side for a moment. I am surprised about this, that Aaron Smith is quite so aggressively, strongly keeping hold of that race lead.
Yeah.
I thought he would have been happy to have dropped. What it suggests, Chaz, is that Aaron's got plenty of juice in that car.
Yeah.
And he doesn't need to worry about fuel saving.
Yeah.
Flat chat from here to Checker.
Yeah, I'd say so. Jesper Eriksson was in the pits for 19.7 seconds. The other guys around him were all within 20 seconds or above. The driver with the shortest stop was actually Jan Stitchbury, 17 seconds. Same for Alex Fretwell as well, but they both pitted a little bit later, so I think it's just natural that it comes down to that. We had a purple Sector 3 on that last lap by Sam Fitzpatrick. That's some pretty aggressive weaving to try and break the slipstream. I've been looking at lap times further down as well. Martin Kenyon and Kevin Zemstra could potentially get into a battle at some point. That is aggressive as you like from Jesper Eriksson. Wow. Maybe a little bit on the over the border that by Jesper, but flipping heck. He went all the way to the outside, then all the way back across again. Aaron wanted to close the door, but Jesper was committed to find that the door was still there. He's knocked the door down and then stamped on it. But wow, that was scary for a moment there, wasn't it?
I absolutely love that. That is brilliant stuff. This brings back minds of Schumacher and Barrichello. Let's have a look. Solid the dummy to the outside.
Whoa.
Bang it to the inside. My foot staying flat to the board. I don't care whether that door closes. Jesper Eriksson, take a bow, sunshine. That was lovely.
There was a tap as well on the way out of the corner. Look, if we just go on this view, the bit I didn't agree with was, you know, that's clearly the edge of the circuit, and then he uses the pit lane exit instead of the edge of the track. But, you know, it was very, very gutsy, and Aaron was a bit defiant in it. And look, just there, tiny little tap on his way through. Well, that's just innocent understeer, and I know that these guys will all be laughing about this. They'll be loving it. But Jesper has now said, you know what, stuff you lot, I'm off. He's 0.9 of a second clear. I wonder whether Aaron's cooked his tyres and whether Jesper has now pulled the trigger at the right point, because look at that.
Wow.
How do
Wow.
I mean, I've always known Jesper is unreal. I've commentated on him in multiple open wheel championships. He's insane in a Formula 3 car. Really quick in Formula 4s as well. But here, I don't know how he's just turned that on. He's 0.9 clear, but that's going to disappear now when Aaron gets the slipstream. It's now less than 0.9.
That's the kind of pace that gets you a ban. That's
Yeah.
how fast that is. That is. Wow, that's mind-blowing, actually, from Jesper Eriksson. Really good. Look at this one. Through the murk, we see Jake Cranstone having a look now. But Jake on the outside line. Not an optimal place to be, so Aaron Smith slides back into second position. And If you're Sam Fitzpatrick, Chaz, I reckon about now is the time to take the cork off that bottle and see what you can shake up.
Yeah, and Stitchbury's still in the YouTube chat telling us that he's made the overcut work. He's even had the audacity to correct himself in the YouTube chat while he's driving. I love that. Lee Aberdeen trying to make up places. He's in 18th position at the moment. Not what he would have wanted to see, but hats off to him because he's had that incident earlier and he's come back out and continued on. Fair play to him. Christian Rose has just been off the road and I believe lost a position. Whoa, that's a big old moment, and that's more than one position lost. That going through was Philip Miles and then Ben Chalcraft, which puts Christian in 12th position. I was saying earlier that Kevin Zemstra and Alex Fretwell might end up fighting, but the two of them have already swapped positions. We'll have a look at how this happened. Oh no, sorry, it was Kevin Zemstra and Martin Kenyon I was looking at. I do apologise. Kevin was 9/10 of a second quicker than Martin on that previous lap. He's starting to reel him in here. He's got 3 to go and less than 3 seconds. It's 2.2 seconds to Martin Kenyon ahead. There is the Sauber Petronas just over the horizon. Martin's having a really solid race though. Up in 7th place, started 8th on the grid. Alex Fretwell on his first performance for Stewart is currently 7 places up. He started in, 16th on the grid? And now he's up inside the top 10 in the points as well. Great drive by Alex.
Been a great drive from Alex, it has to be said, and he's really picked up the places. But Kevin Zemstra, what a drive from him. And Jake Cranstone, let's take another look at Cranstone. Tries the same move on the previous lap, gets the same result as the previous lap, but now Sam Fitzpatrick, we said that he was going to undo the bottle and see what came up. This is Sam's time now. Just a couple of laps left on the book. Cranstone muscles his way around the outside, but Sam Fitzpatrick, from a watching waiting perspective, is now very, very engaged in this battle. 1, 2, 3 cars fighting for second, third and fourth respectively. Jesper Eriksson clearing these guys like an absolute beast though at the head of the pack.
Although to be fair, I think that little battle that just happened there between Cranstone and Fitzpatrick for a couple of corners has helped Aaron Smith. He's got half a second over them all of a sudden, and he is now within 7/10 of Jesper Eriksson. So he's suddenly not got to focus on that rear view mirror. It's incredible how many times in a race the momentum shifts from one driver to the next in these battles. It's great to see it. Lovely to see Ian Stitchbury going so well on his return as well after missing Mosport last time out. Zemstra was 0.8 of a second quicker than Martin Kenyon on that previous lap. The gap is now down to less than 2 seconds, and there's only 2 laps to go after this one. Zemstra on a mission, and considering how early he had that spin earlier on in the race, and how much ground he lost, I think he's just had a little bit of a moment there because he's just lost about 0.4. It looked a bit slow through the chicane, but considering he had that spin when the field was at its most compressed and he lost the most possible amount of time from it, it's been a great recovery regardless of whether he gets ahead of Martin now or not.
Yep, if Kevin was a book, he'd be picked up in the library from the what could have been section in this race. That's how good he's been so far.
Definitely.
Jake Cranstone then, 3rd lap in a row, and this time it's 3 wide. That's Sam Fitzpatrick's opportunity. Sam, never shy, never backwards in coming forwards, inserts himself in a 3rd. Aaron Smith is absolutely on the radar though. Look at the Benetton and look at the Jordan behind. Oh, I love that shot. Absolutely beautiful. That's what being at the chuff of a Benetton looks like from Jake Cranstone's perspective. And this is, any one of these 4 could come out of the front of this one, Chaz. I hope they make it through, but we are aggression level turned up to 12.
Absolutely, and Jesper Eriksson will have been hoping that this fighting actually gives him more time, but he's losing it. He's about a second ahead, but the slipstream in these cars goes up to about 1.3. You barely see any effect at 1.3, but it will still keep you in touch. But look how much they're all moving around here. The tyres have definitely gone off at this point as Jake really closes in on the brakes. He's been in a position though, hasn't he, through a lot of this race, Paul, where he hasn't had to really back out of much, and he's been the one throwing the moves. Now all of a sudden he is in the position to compromise, and it's not really working. Although I have to say, Jesper Eriksson, now the gap is 1.36 seconds. He's looking comfortable. If now there's a fight into turn 1, I think Jesper is going to take this win.
Yep, I think you're absolutely right. I think Eriksson's got this one in the bag, barring any kind of fair and foul activations happening behind. But big question is, who's going to be in second place? I think Jake Cranstone has cooked the tyres on that car. I think he's on a bit of a backward slide, but this is going to help him no end.
Yeah, this is fantastic racing by these guys. Fitzpatrick keeps Smith all the way over to the right, but look at the closing speed from Cranstone. Oh, he's gone for the middle as we head on to the final lap here at Mugello in round 4 of the CDM Boremula 1 World Championship. Cranstone tries to squeeze to the inside. Oh, there's contact between Cranstone and Fitzpatrick, but somehow they both keep facing the right direction. Incredible stuff. Aaron Smith holds on to the position. Great stuff again by Aaron. He's shown incredible persistence down that inside line, hasn't he, all race, Paul? And now it's paid off on one of the most important laps.
Yeah, I've been deeply impressed with this performance from Aaron Smith. Absolutely elbows out, fantastic driving, as has everybody in this top 4. But look at this one, still advantage Smith. Cranstone wastes 0 time closing back into that fight, and now it's Fitzpatrick that looks to be under a little bit of strife at the back of this battle pack. I honestly, Chaz, have no idea which way this one's going to go. I really don't.
I really just hope it doesn't come down to an overcooked move into these final couple of corners, but Aaron Smith will know now that Jake Cranstone's going to have the run on him to the line, but up the road by 1.7 seconds. He has turned it on in these final few laps. Jesper Eriksson may not be wearing that number 1 because he is reigning champion, but it's just simply because iRacing doesn't let us do 0. But he's in the championship winning car from last year, and he's driving it like a potential champion-elect. Let's have a look now then at Jake Cranstone around the outside of Aaron Smith. Aaron moves him all the way over. Sam Fitzpatrick sticks his nose down the inside where it's not wanted. Nearly contact, but in front of them it's Jesper Eriksson. He's going to take his 3rd race victory of the season in Boremula 1. Well done to Jesper. Aaron Smith is going to take 2nd place, but what about 3rd? It's going to be Sam Fitzpatrick just beating Jake Cranstone to the line. What a battle between those boys that was, Paul. That was epic.
Absolutely incredible stuff. Jan Stitchbury, while writing prose and verse in chat, crosses the line in 5th position. Taylor Adams, that's not a bad result for Taylor, all things considered, in 6th. And stand up and round of applause for Martin Kenyon. More points for Sauber and the recovering Kevin Zemstra in 8th.
Oh, Christian Rose might just beat Ben Chalcraft to the line here for these final points. Is he going to get one extra? No, he's not. Chalcraft is just going to beat him, but Christian Rose scores a point for Williams. 5 places gained for him. Very well done indeed. And right now, Jack Reeve around the final corner just misses out on points. And possibly the driver, with no disrespect to anyone else, I mean, Lee Aberdeen we're going to feel bad for. But Stuart Clark, after that epic drive earlier, I really don't know what happened. I looked back through what we call the event viewer in our live timing. Couldn't see any major offs or incidents or issues with the pit stop for Stuart. No clue what happened, but he was on for an epic drive, and unfortunately, 14th is all he musters for this one. Connor Hatfield across the line in the Minardi in 15th position. Lee Aberdeen eventually comes home in 16th. He'll be gutted after starting on pole position in that one. Again, he joins Kevin Zemstra in the what might have been part of the library that Paul mentioned. And then Simon Price and Danny Weir will be the last 2 cars to cross the line. But Jesper Eriksson, 3rd win of the season, and 4 manufacturers in the top 4 once again, Paul. What an epic race we had.
Do not let anybody tell you that the CDM Boremula 1 World Championship is anything other than outstanding. Some great racing. It was a bit of a slow burner. A few drivers made their names early doors. A few drivers walking wounded at the checkered flag will be a bit disappointed. But Jesper Eriksson, come again, sunshine. That is a great performance from Eriksson. There was times, Chaz, where it didn't look like it was going the Williams driver's way. But when it mattered, Jesper found another gear in that car and just showed an incredibly clean pair of heels to the field. Beautiful.
Yeah. Unbelievable drive that was. Another great race from the CDM Boremula 1 World Championship, and we'll have a quick look over the result. Jesper Eriksson takes the race victory, 1.6 seconds. That's a massive gap in Boremula 1 standards to Aaron Smith, just ahead of Sam Fitzpatrick and Jake Cranstone. God, those boys had an epic fight, did they not? But look at that. They did all that fighting, and they were still 16 seconds clear of Jan Stitchbury in 5th place. A great return to the championship, though, for Jan. Very well done indeed, especially while writing in chat, which I still can't believe. Taylor Adams finishes in 6th. Some good points for him. Great drive tonight by Martin Kenyon, and what a wonderful recovery that was. By Kevin Zemstra. Alex Fretwell gets his first points for Stuart this season, and Philip Miles, we really overlooked this, but Philip Miles gets 3 points extra on the board for Prost after getting his first points last time round. Ben Chalcraft gets 2 points as well for the Sauber Petronas team. Christian Rose gets his first points of the season in a Williams. He did score for Stewart earlier in the championship. Jack Reeve and Stuart Clark will be wondering what might have been. Connor Hatfield had quite a quiet race, with Lee Aberdeen unfortunately making contact with the wall and putting pay to his potential point score. Simon Price finished in 17th ahead of his sparring partner Danny Weir, and then John Tusting retired after he messaged me earlier, did John, bless him, and he said he was really tired tonight, lost his concentration a bit, and just retired out of not wanting to ruin anyone else's race. And Rob Lundgren had gearbox issues, so unfortunately had to call it and park on the sidelines. But I'll tell you what, Paul, we might not have seen a humongous amount with the visibility here tonight, but my God, what a race we had in the gloom of Mugello.
Yeah, been absolutely fantastic stuff. Really iconic images from Mugello. Beautiful circuit, interesting weather conditions, and man alive, did our 20-strong field put on a show. For everybody watching at home and for Chaz and I up in the commentary box, thoroughly enjoyed that one, sir, but I think we've got some drivers to talk to and understand what happened from their perspective, sir.
Absolutely, and the first one to join us is Yayan Stitchbury. Now he can just talk to us directly instead of chatting away while driving. Yayan, your first race back after missing Mosport. How do you feel that went tonight?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy. Qualifying was a bit safe, I think. I tried to just make sure I get a lap in because I know how tricky the track limits are here.
Yeah.
I think I played the fuel strategy the way I wanted to, and I've gained a few with an overcut. Yeah, it was nice to be back and really enjoying it.
And some good points on the board, of course. And I mean, you know just as well as us lot watching do, it's so ridiculously close in this championship, isn't it? With the the slipstream being a great leveler, but also the level of talent on show this season is remarkable, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. And I want to say Taylor and Martin, I was with them for the majority of the race, and we kept it very clean. It's a great pleasure to be alongside such sort of respectful drivers. I got to shout out Sam as well, my teammate, for another podium finish. He's really doing the team proud, so hopefully we can keep that going. But yeah, the quality of drivers throughout the league is incredible, and it really makes for a hard time, but it's so much fun being around everyone.
And that's the best thing about it, and I'm so glad to hear that you're enjoying it. It's great to have you in the championship. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go tonight?
Yeah, again, just Sam did a great job for the team. Shout out to yourself as well. Obviously, I had the broadcast up while I was driving, and it makes for a very entertaining watch. Yeah, just shout out to everyone for having a good race.
Lovely stuff. Great to speak to you, Yayan. Thank you very much for jumping in, and we'll speak to you again very soon.
Cheers, guys.
Lovely stuff. Yayan Stitchbury, 5th place in that one, Paul. A great return to the championship, and as we've seen, it's not easy to score points, but to do that after a round out, great commitment.
Yeah, fantastic stuff from Yayan, and wise tactics as well. Take it steady in qualifying, get a decent lap, score a bag full of points, and set yourself up in the best way possible for the next race at the beautiful Jerez circuit. So, good stuff from Yayan. More to come, I'm sure.
And very good stuff from this man. Jesper Eriksson takes his 3rd race win of the season. Jesper, it just keeps getting better and better for you this time round. What a fantastic race.
Yeah, that was fantastic. Oh, God. That was so much fun, this track. I came into this race thinking like, yeah, let's see if maybe like P4, P3. I'm quite tired today, but as soon as the race started, you just knew that, yeah, I'm going to fucking win this race. Oh, sorry.
I don't know what you mean, what you're apologising for. It's the enjoyment. You can tell how much you're enjoying it from your tone. It's just wonderful. And,
your 3rd win of the season now. You've not just got a 1-win gap over anyone else, but now 2 wins over the rest of the field. That must be just building that confidence more and more, because you've won in almost every scenario now where you've had to sort of wait till the end to pounce, or whether you've led from lights to flag. You've got a bit of everything in your arsenal right now, haven't you?
Yeah, seems so. I don't know what makes me to come out on top in the end, but I'm happy for it.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
it's good racing. I did touch Aaron when I did pass him for the lead, which led to the win, but so quite sorry for that. And sorry for mixing up the qualifying. I had a bit of a brain fart just now.
Oh, you weren't the only one. It's fine. We're going to slap Stuart Clark on the wrist so hard that we break him. But no, it was great again to see you get that victory, Jesper. And obviously the championship is still mighty close due to the point system. But heading to Jerez, how are you feeling about going there?
I think I've driven on that track once, so it's gonna be exciting. It's gonna be fun.
Certainly will be, and it's going to be nice and hot. And we're actually going to be able to see as well, which will be lovely for next time round. So hopefully we'll see the cars in all of their resplendent liveries. But before we let you go, is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Definitely all of you guys for streaming this and hosting all of this, and Aaron and Sam Fitzpatrick and Jake for such an awesome race today. It's so much fun.
Great to have you as always, Jesper. Well done on the win, mate, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, boys.
Cheers. Jesper Eriksson, I love interviewing Jesper because you can just hear he's absolutely loving it, isn't he?
Doesn't it make a refreshing change to hear some emotion from a sim driver? Yeah, brilliant stuff. And Jesper claims to have only raced at Jerez once, so maybe he might only win by a second next time we go racing. Opportunity knocks, people. Get your practicing. Jesper's on the back foot.
What Paul's referring to there with the emotion is the fact that he and I have both commentated on some very high-profile sim racing championships, and we see zero emotion from people when they cross the line. Not even like a fist pump in the air or anything, not even a smile on their face. And it's great to see somebody so in love with what they're doing and enjoying themselves. And, you know, as series organizer as well, not to make it about me, but I feel so much pride in knowing that these guys are enjoying something that I put on to such an extent. It really is so rewarding. We're going to now speak to the man that I'm sure will be very happy to have seen, thanks Spotify, second position at the flag at the end of that one. Aaron, you must be absolutely sweating buckets, mate.
I think that's probably an understatement. Not gonna lie, I think torrential sweat was that whole second stint. It was honestly insane. I've never pushed so hard in a second stint all my life. That first stint was horrible. I was so slow, so far off the pace, and then the second stint I took tyres and I was pressuring like crazy to get back up to the front. I probably could have won, but I think there was a moment where Jake tried to go for a move in the middle sector and it cost me like half a second, and at that point we were too far back from Jesper. Yeah, but to get P2 with those two right on my behind for those last like 3 laps was just insane.
Well, it was an absolutely epic battle, and even a little bit of contact here and there, but you know, these guys, you've all learned each other very quickly, because I know that a lot of you come from different leagues and different organisations within sim racing. It's been so heartwarming to see it from an outside perspective of how quickly you've gelled, but what does it mean to you as a driver to know that you can race these guys that hard and still have a good laugh about it?
It does just put that little bit of, you know, it just eases your mind that tiny bit, because racing against someone who can be a bit unpredictable and a little bit sloppy is honestly such a heart-sinking feeling, because at any moment you're just looking in your rearview mirrors, you're a bit twitchy because you just don't know what's going to happen. But like you say, because these guys are mostly really clean, they're all really chill. It's just nice to know that the other guy hopefully will leave you enough space, and especially going through some of the corners here where, you know, especially the first few corners in that first sector, going side by side is not ideal. But even when it does happen, it's just good to know that they won't, you know, just turn into you. So it's very nice to know that we're racing with not idiots.
That's because I'm commentating and not on track. Still, a pleasure to see you as always, Aaron. Very well done on the big points. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to before you go?
It's just the usual. All those top 5 who were really clean. Unfortunate for Kevin. Again, I feel horrible for the man. I genuinely... poor Kevin. Lee as well, unfortunate for him. One simple mistake, and I think he probably would have been in contention for the win as well. But Sam, Jake, and Jesper, they were all really clean. And thanks to Jack as well. He was in the comms with me. And thanks to you, Chaz, for setting up the league and doing all this. It's really great to watch these back and amazing to race. So I'm looking forward to next week.
My absolute pleasure, Aaron. Thank you so much for the kind words, mate. Great to speak to you as always. And yeah, we'll speak to you at Jerez, hopefully.
Yeah, see you next week.
Cheers. And there we go, Paul. Aaron Smith, very happy with his performance tonight. And you could sense a little bit of relief, couldn't you, in that one?
Oh, man. The stress levels are through the roof on something like this, and Aaron's done a fantastic job. As we say, he was loitering there in 3rd, 4th position, and then really got the elbows out at the end. It's superb to see. And he mentions, all the drivers have mentioned, Chaz, the quality and respect amongst each other. Well, from a commentator's point of view, I want to mention to all the drivers, the quality of their racecraft makes our job absolutely straightforward.
Yeah.
This is not work. This is just knocking about with my mate, talking about motor racing to a really good level.
Yeah.
So bravo to all the drivers, Aaron included, for some real sterling driving.
And of course, now we won't have you with us for a couple of rounds, Paul. Ed May will be jumping back into the commentary box for rounds 5, 6, and 7. There's a couple of weeks off in the middle as well. The next time we're going to see you, Paul, will be Long Beach on the 30th of April. And yeah, well, I was going to ask you what you reckon about going to Long Beach, but that's going to be a hell of a street circuit to go to in these cars, I think, though, because they're very small. So I think it'll work.
I do. I genuinely do. I think Long Beach is a track that taketh away from the man of overconfidence. And I think there's plenty of confidence in this field. But, as you say, small car, fabulous drivers. I think Long Beach is going to be a classic, and I can't wait. I cannot wait to get back. I've been watching from afar, but I'm looking forward to that one.
I'm very intrigued to see how different the championship looks then when you come back compared to how it is now. It'll be a very, very interesting one. We'll take a snapshot of how everything is now, and we'll see Paul again in just over a month's time, unfortunately, it's safe to say. But looking forward to getting Ed May back in the box as well. Ed, absolute stalwart of this championship, raced in Season 1, commentated on Season 2, and he'll be back again. But thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Thank you to Bottle of Scotch Racing and Derbyshire Holiday Homes, the championship sponsors. Thanks to JL Racethetics for the amazing work on the original 97 liveries of these cars that then transformed into the 1998 ones. He made my life so much easier, so thank you, James. Thanks as always to Paul. It's always an absolute blast to share the commentary box with him, and I look forward to working with him again. And thank you all for watching. It's been a fantastic night here in the CDM Formula One World Championship. Jesper Eriksson's third win of the season, and we promise it'll be sunny next time round at Jerez. Enjoy the rest of your evening, everyone. We'll see you soon.
And look at Jochen Hahn and Antonio Albacete. The two of them go flying through the right-hand side, then the left-hand side. Jochen Hahn around the outside, and Lucas Hahn, no father and son, come together on the exit of turn 1. And the best thing about this is the fact that it's still a 15-minute sprint race. They've not extended the time of the race. It's still just like, it's going to be, 7 laps of Scotch? Yeah. We get to the real nitty-gritty of motorsport.
Crymsun and Smith are side by side for the title in the very final race of the season. As they go back up the hill towards Schumacher. Nils Kor clips the back at 10. Simon Povey clips the side of Nils Kor. They go over the hill and Povey's around. Oh my god, that's going to definitely be the thumbnail when it hit me in the right direction. Thank you so much.
23 cars.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Goes to the right, Silas goes to the left, across the line, it's going to be... Which one's it going to be in 6? Tim's going to get him to the line, he's not going to get it. Oh no, Pete Newman's around.
Pretty tight. Jake Blackwell round the outside. He's going to keep it there, and now he's going to be on the inside.
Okay, Simon Price sees a gap in the middle, decides that no, that would be mental. Big accident, Simon. Cam Dance wins. Silas Craig-Frolic wins. Jake Blackwell wins. Cranston to take the win. On his Jesper Eriksson, two-time champion of the CDM Formula One World Championship is Cam Dance. And what a fantastic race. Amazing. Oh my god, I've missed this.